DLo and KC. I'm Damian Barling.
The ultimate needle mover in God mode himself.
He's Kenny Caraway.
Yes, sir.
Acknowledge me.
We are live
from the worst slums of Sacramento.
alongside a producer who does not give predictions, only spoilers.
What are you doing with him?
Jesse Tapia, who is cooking on the whiteboard right now.
He is.
Had the 49ers losing by at least 2 scores. That was an understatement.
He was damn near wrong. It was almost 3 scores.
I threw the at least in there.
It was almost
Man.
300 scores.
Look, I'll just try to throw my little take on the board on Friday. I was going to do it during the break. Dame's like, no, save it for the show.
I mean, you waited until KC got here.
Yeah.
You're like, hold on, I got one. And then Devin walked in. He's like, let's get this in during the break. We're like, no. I didn't know. I wanted, well, let's see what this is.
Yeah.
And he hit us with the 49ers are going to lose by at least 2 scores. And again, that was an understatement.
It was spot on.
We were at Scott Seafood in Folsom. Shout out to Josh and Elizabeth and the wonderful people there. It was a 2-score game before the drinks arrived. And we walked in, sat down. Katie says, hey, why don't you sit here? I'll move over here. We could both see the TV. Great idea, baby. Move over, look up, and there he goes. It's 7-0. Like, okay, that sucks, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Order some drink. 14. Like, okay,
Oh,
wait a minute.
man.
Damn. Settle down.
Damn.
I got to cook real quick.
Hey, hold on. Let's get on the board. Let's go.
Shout out Jimmy, 0, bunch of 2s. Jesse got jumped for that Friday take. Hey, like I said, I was just trying to get a take off real quick. Dame said I was fighting for my life. I told him, no, sir, I'm fine.
No. Okay, wait a second.
He didn't get
You and Devin
I disagreed.
Devin had the, hey, I got to ask Jesse a question.
No, you and
activated
Devin.
the winter soldier in me, and I cooked. I said Sam Darnold
absolutely
was
cooked.
not going to need to do anything. They said, oh, Sam Darnold this. Who's talking about Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold, injured oblique, didn't even know if he was going to be able to throw the football. 124 yards and a touchdown. I said, hey, they're going to win off the running backs and the defense. Defense whipped that ass. Kenny was right. They didn't run for 180 yards. They ran for 175. All right. Like I said, I wrote it, just listed it out. But, hey, hey, it's all good.
Hey,
you guys got it?
You did it.
Hey,
you was
spot on. That game, there was more points because the Seahawks didn't let them off the hook this time, but it was the same game for 8 straight quarters. It was the same damn game. And that's what
this
Jesse
one was
laying out.
compounded by some 49ers mistakes, which was probably what made it look bad. I don't know that the 18 was littered with mistakes. This game was littered with mistakes.
Yeah. And that's the point Jesse, I believe, was trying to get across on Friday was I don't see anything was going to make it look any different on Saturday. And it was the same damn game. I was a beatdown. And first of all, shout out to Jesse. He was spot on about that. And it was clear to me that that's where, at the very least, the 49ers offense has to aspire to get to and compete with. That's the standard bearer. That Seahawks defense. You're going to have to build your roster, build your game plan, build your offense in the offseason around how do you beat the Seahawks defense? Because that's the one that you just can't match up with right now.
I meant to ask Kyle this. It's not related to what you just said totally, but you guys were both, and we will today as the day progresses, because we've got the 49ers to discuss. We have Saturday's game to discuss. We have what's next for the San Francisco 49ers to discuss. We also have the Bills getting eliminated, Sean McDermott being fired. We have the incredible play from Caleb Williams that sent that Bears-Rams game to overtime, with the Rams wound up walking out with a win there. We've got the Bo Nix injury. Like, there's so many different things to talk about here as the day rolls along. But you guys were talking about what the 49ers need to do, how the 49ers can get better. And we started with the wide receiver and things like that. And then Kyle mentioned they got to get better on the defensive end. And I wanted to ask Kyle, but didn't get the opportunity. So I'll ask you, given the way that they've drafted, how much of that improvement on the defensive end can come internally?
I think a lot of it, man, and that's pushback. I don't know if that's the right term, but that's what I was trying to get across my thought to Kyle. It's like, I don't think there's a whole lot on defense they need to do. I think
because you think the group that they have
right
will get better.
Right.
With gotcha.
And the draft picks they have made, whether it's a Michael Williams or Upton Stout or Dean Winters. And like I said, we got to figure out who Nick Martin is. But I think to your point, internally, they can just get better by being healthier. Like just putting people in their right spot. Like
or just get better by going from year 1 to year 2.
Year 1, year 2.
3. Yeah.
Upton Stout is going to be better being a second-year guy in the slot. But like a guy like Michael Williams, like I think the defense would have been better if he was there. He didn't even play because he got hurt in the second. He didn't even play the second half of the season. So just having those guys back, combining that with some things that you still got to do in the draft. You know, I'd really lock in on some type of edge rusher. I thought last year in the draft they focused on stopping the run. And I thought that was the right call, getting guys like C.J. West, getting Michael Williams, guys like that. This year you really focus on guys who are specialists, who can get to the quarterback. So outside of going to get I'm in favor of going to get a cornerback, and I want a veteran. I want to go get a free agent cornerback to go alongside Niaman Lenore. A lot of that, to your point, I think will help with health and just the young guys that they played being a year older and being put in more of a proper slot next year. I feel like that they're not good. They got to work on some things, but it's not as drastic on the defensive end.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the toughest things to take if you're a San Francisco 49er fan is the 49ers didn't have many games like this all season. You could argue they didn't have any. They had a couple of games where they got roughed up, but even in like the Rams game comes to mind, right? They lost that one like 40-something to 20. Mm-hmm. They were within striking distance at various points in that game.
I think they were down 7 in the fourth.
It was never like a 30-point blowout. It was never a 3-score game in that game. And this one just it came at the worst time. Kyle Mattson used the term, you know, it felt like the shoe finally dropped, as if everybody was kind of waiting for this to happen. I didn't feel that way. I didn't walk away from that game thinking, man, if only George Kittle was there, or if only Fred Warner was there, or if only Nick Bosa was there. Would there have been an impact? Sure. This was a 41-6 game. This was a game where, you know, so many things went wrong. You know, obviously there's the kickoff return. There's the turnovers. There's the turnover on downs with the option play with Juice and CMC. But I just didn't walk away from this going, if they just had A, B, C, D, or F, or all of them. This was just this is football to me. We can analyze this to death, and Jesse did a hell of a job dropping the spoiler on Friday. You can analyze this to death, but in the end, if you just get a team playing one way and a team playing another, you can get, you know, that's the outcome. That's the result of the equation right there. Mm-hmm. You had a team playing who they got punched to the ropes quick, and Seahawks just followed them in and took them out.
And credit to him, credit to the Seahawks, credit to the coaching staff and what they did. They didn't give them an opportunity to even think that they can mount some type of comeback or something. They took them out when they had the opportunity, which is something they didn't necessarily do in week 18. And they seem to have learned from that. And they made sure they handled business and took all the life out of the 49ers early in that game. And they get all the credit in the world, man. That was a thorough beat down. And Seattle looked fantastic on Saturday. They looked great on Saturday. I think we'll talk about this as the week goes along and everything. I think the Rams, I'm leaning towards Rams in that game, but it's a toss-up for sure. It's a toss-up for sure. Seattle looked really good on Saturday.
I think that Rams game, you'll need more from Sam Darnold than that one. I'm not sure you can do the whole 100 however many yards gimmick like you did on Saturday.
Yeah.
My mom hit me on the fourth down play, the Caleb Williams throw. She hit me. My mom from Los Angeles, a Rams fan. She hit me with the LeBron James. One more stop. One more stop. So we were kind of we're texting as that play as that those final seconds are unfolding, and Caleb hits the play was so unbelievable. My mom wasn't even mad. She was like, "Oh my God, what a game! This is great."
That was crazy.
That was his. I text you. He threw a 40-yard touchdown pass on 4th and 4 from like the 15. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. But it's the NFC West. We welcome in our man James Hanarm, Kings Insider from the Insiders here on MLK Day. James, a nice little day off for you as you got a tough stretch coming up with the Sacramento Kings playing Miami tomorrow and Toronto on Wednesday. But let's start with the games over the weekend. We saw Domantas Sabonis return. It's been kind of the talk, at least of the Kings portion of today's show. What do you make of Domantas Sabonis in his return? And do you think we're going to see some adjustments from Doug Christie moving forward, meaning more time on the floor for Domantas Sabonis as games start to add up?
Yeah, first up, I don't know what you mean by a day off. I already had a radio show. I just did a podcast. Now I'm back on with you guys. So not quite sure.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
At least you don't have to drive to the Golden One Center today.
No, that's true. That's true. Look, I think that there's going to be.
Sorry. Oh my gosh!
You just saw
it. Sorry. And I was going to keep it quiet when I saw it, but I wouldn't expect it. Yeah.
He hit him with a baseball
bat. Crap out of him.
You know that was real too because they all hated Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry, James. That's my.
At least I know who the Ultimate Warrior was. And
there you go. Even James knows.
They were a lot of fun to play the video game with the Ultimate Warrior and those guys.
The arcade game.
Was it Royal Rumble? That was the game. Well, Royal Rumble came out on the game systems.
Oh, okay.
I think it was WWF is what I played on. Maybe it might have been Royal Rumble, but I don't think so.
I have eyeballed that stand-up
arcade joint
for a long time. I've never do it. I know I won't, but it's so dope.
Yeah, I've got two of them. I've got the Rampage with Joust and Defender and Gauntlet down here because Gauntlet was my game. And then upstairs we have the in the game room we have the Street Fighter one.
I've never been to the game room.
You ever been up to the pool table?
Nope.
All right. Yeah.
No.
Next time you're up here.
I didn't have security clearance to get up there.
True.
There we go.
Gotta make sure.
Look, I think that when it comes to Domas, it's going to be a bit of a process here. Like, again, we have a back-to-back coming up tomorrow and on Wednesday. I have no idea if he's going to play in both of those games. He could play in one. He could play in both. He could play in neither. I think that's where we're at. You're going to give him little bits at a time to test that knee and see where it's at. But you also have to remember that, like the trade deadline is like, I don't know, 15 days away, 16 days away, whatever it is, and maybe 17. Whether Domas is going to be part of a trade that goes out the door or not, you need to build him up the right way and make sure that he's healthy for the rest of his career throughout this debacle that it has been his knee issue. So, I think that they're going to slowly bring him along. I think there's a very distinct possibility that, if they could get a day of practice in, which I don't think they got a full-fledged day of practice in today, but if you can get a little bit more practice time, you might see him slide back into the starting lineup pretty quickly. But, again, it looks like he's on a minutes restriction, whether it's 20 or it's 24 minutes, whatever it might be. And usually you progress like that. If he is on a minutes restriction, and the only reason I bring that up, he's played 20 minutes 2 games in a row. I wouldn't be surprised to see him play 24 and then 26 or 28 and then start to get more towards what we've been used to with him. But they've got to take it really slow just to make sure that they don't have a misstep and a setback, and that could change a lot of things with the Sacramento Kings, whether it's him as a player or him as a potential trade chip.
You know, James, when I watch Domantas Sabonis play, it looks like a guy who hasn't played full court 5-on-5 basketball in a long time. It doesn't look like he's necessarily trying to compensate for being hurt. It's just like, man, I haven't gone up and down the court for a long time. Why do you think they brought him back without having that type of practice interaction? Like usually you see, oh, he's on the side court doing 5-on-5 or 3-on-3. Unless it's just something that, you know, the reporters weren't privy to. It seems like they brought him back without having those moments. Is that unusual to you?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a couple of things here. Number one, like I don't think they really knew when he was coming back. Like they had a plan. That plan got extended. Again, remember, he was out a month, and then they told us, you know, we'll reevaluate him in a month, right? We get to the month mark, maybe a week after or 4 or 5 days after the month mark, and they put him out an additional 4 to 5 weeks. That was like 3.5 weeks ago. So they've been waiting for his knee to respond and for whatever to happen that they need to get him back on the court. And then the problem is like the home games, right? So like this has been a stretch. I was just talking to my guys over the Kings beat just a second ago, and like I don't remember a grouping of games, this many games at home over such a small amount of time. And so when you per NBA rules, you're not allowed to have practice after a back-to-back. So last Sunday, Monday, the Kings played the Rockets and the Lakers, so they can't practice on Tuesday. Then they played a game against the Knicks on Wednesday. You had a day where maybe you could have got in some practice on Thursday, but then you've got Friday, you've got Sunday. Like the games have just been nonstop. And even before that, I remember they were at home a bunch all the way through the beginning part of the month. So there just hasn't been a bunch of practice days. And I'm going to throw something else in that is very unusual. And that is that typically in these situations, when you're trying to get a player back on the court, you take a group of young players that aren't playing very much and you have them beat those guys up for like 3 or 4 days. Well, it just so happens that all your young bigs are playing. And so they're not going to practice and then go get beat up by Domas and then have to play a game. And I think the cycle of what's happening here is just a little off because of that. So, I mean, I guess it's possible he could have gone out and played against Drew Eubanks and Doug McDermott and a couple of your like training staff guys. But it's also possible that they just don't have an ability to get him out there. You know, maybe he could have played 4-on-4 2-on-2, and Dario Saric is out there with him. But yeah, I think it's more about the practice time and everything else. And there is usually like the Kings have a very distinct like return to play. We had heard a little bit. We'd seen Domas come out and do a little bit of warming up and stuff like that. But him like showing up out of nowhere on last Thursday and like, hey, I think he's going to play on Friday was very bizarre. But hey, sometimes it happens.
Is there a chance? Do you think there's a chance that maybe we don't see a big increase in Domantas Sabonis's minutes? Maybe there is a point where he returns, probably relatively soon, where he returns to the starting lineup, but you still see something. And I'll give Doug some leniency here and say this could be, game dependent, maybe similar to what we saw with Dylan Cardwell last night. But maybe the approach being, James, that, yeah, Domantas Sabonis is back in the starting lineup, but he's still living in the 20 to 25 minute range because we still want to play Dylan Cardwell and we still want to play Maxime Reynaud.
I think it's pretty quickly he's going to be ramped up to 30 minutes a game. And whether we go to 36 minutes, I don't know. But I would just point to, guys like DeMar DeRozan playing 36 minutes a night, Russell Westbrook playing 36 minutes a night, a lot of nights. And like Doug has relied heavily on the veterans. Him and Domas have always had a very good relationship because they were, he was his personal trainer basically for 2 summers. They traveled together. I think he's going to try to get him back out there. And again, I think the numbers, they work. Again, if he's going to play, let's just say he plays 32 minutes, that leaves you 16 minutes at the center position, right? That someone else can play. And then you have the other 48 minutes at the power forward spot. So we're looking at 64 minutes. Like I think Precious and Max and Dylan can share those 64 minutes pretty easily. And especially while Keegan's out, where Keegan's not going to be playing the 4 at all. I think the real question will be, what does Doug do when Keegan gets back? And what does that mean for DeMar DeRozan? Or what does that mean for Zach LaVine? Or, does that mean that Nick Clifford doesn't get to play at all anymore? But I do think that there's going to be sort of a smoothing out here where you start seeing some of these other guys lose some minutes. And that's why I also think that we're probably going to have a little bit of fireworks around the trade deadline, because I do think there are going to be veterans on this team that you don't want to play in the second half of the season. And you're going to want to go to young players like Nick Clifford. You're going to want to give, a guy like Keegan Murray every opportunity at that small forward spot. And on top of that, you're going to want to see, hey, what does he look like with Precious? What is a front line of again, Domas, Keegan, and Precious, or Max and Domas, or Dylan and Domas with Keegan? Like, you need to see all those things going forward, unless Domas isn't part of this either, and he's sent out between now and February 5th.
I heard you guys talking about it earlier on the Insiders, and I guess right now Kings are who they are. You play any lineup if you want to. I don't like the idea of the 2 bigs for any more than a couple minutes. The lack of shooting from pretty much everybody that will be involved in that, outside of maybe Precious, and even with Precious being able to shoot the way he has lately, that's not necessarily proven. But any combination of Domas, Maxine, Dylan, and Precious playing together, 2 at a time, I don't think that one's a good idea. But you think they're probably going to take some time to try and see that a few times, at the very least, before Keegan comes back?
Yeah, I think so. And even when Keegan does come back, like, look, I think that if you can use Domas in the high DHO, like way out at the 3-point line, you can create space that way. I've said it from the beginning, like when they built this team, I said they don't have enough shooting. It's going to be a huge problem. And the shooters that they do have been in and out of the lineup, whether it's Keegan getting hurt, or it's Malik Monk being in the doghouse for a certain amount of time, or it's Keon Ellis not being able to find his spot in the rotation. Like, those are pretty much your 3 best shooters. And they haven't been around. They haven't been available, or they haven't been part of what's happening. Like, that's going to be the fatal flaw to this team the entire season. And you just kind of got to play through it. So I think, again, if you pull Domas way out at the top of the key and start running DHOs or high pick and rolls up there, that's how you're going to see this team create that space that you're talking about, Kenny. But I do agree. I mean, it's going to be interesting to figure it out. But I'd also tell you, like, Dylan Cardwell put up 12 points last night. It's his best season, his best game as a pro, scoring wise. And he's learning how to play in that dunker spot. And there have been plenty of teams that figure out how to use, a non-shooter and a rim running dunker. I mean, the Golden State Warriors with, Draymond Green and JaVale McGee, they were able to figure it out with neither one of them shooting threes hardly at all. Now, they had some of the greatest 3-point shooters ever all around them, but there are other teams that have been able to find success doing this. And, like, look, fact is, Domas has to hit the 3 ball, and he's got to take them. And, I love the idea of Dylan Cardwell as a true rim runner and Domas as a trailer. That can work, especially if you go Domas as a trailer and go right into a pick and roll or DHO action at the top of the key and start having all of the action kind of pulled back out to the perimeter while Dylan's down in the dunking spot. I think a lot of what we saw in the game last night is totally repeatable. Eventually, someone might start defend Dylan Cardwell. But remember last season when the Kings played the Dallas Mavericks and the Mavericks had no players and they were horrible and they couldn't sign anybody because they had reached, they were hard capped.
Mhm.
And who was it that, they signed Kai Jones, and Kai Jones just dunked on the Kings again and again and again and again and again. And he had like 18 points. That's what Dylan Cardwell can do. He can hide, on that baseline, hiding out somewhere. And as long as he's rebounding and moving and not just stagnant, you can figure out ways around the spacing issue a little bit. But I think truly on the defensive end, he's so good that I want to see more of him with Domas. I do. I just need Domas to be able to defend in space. And right now, I don't think he can with his knee.
How do you think this team has taken to Dylan Cardwell and some of his the on-court antics that get the crowd so riled up?
I think his teammates enjoy it. I think some of them are looking at him like, well, I wouldn't do that. But that doesn't mean that they don't see the joy and the energy. Now, on occasion, I think a teammate might smack him in the back of the head and say, hey, bro, the play is still going. Stop celebrating. Right? Because I think at some point it's like, yeah, you're doing jumping jacks because you blocked a shot, but the shot went right back out and it's still live. And what are we doing? But overall, like, look, 2 weeks ago, this team was unbearable to watch. Just horrible to watch. Nobody wanted to tune in. And now I think everybody does. They want to see what Dylan Cardwell is going to do next. And I don't look at him as a gimmick because he's just playing really, really hard. And he's like celebrating in a strange way. But I think everyone's okay because, like, look, it's become fun. And you don't want to be just the gimmick team that has the beam and then, this Dylan Cardwell thing and, Russ smacking his head every time he hits a 3-point shot. Like, I think the worst thing for the Kings is for Russ to go 5 of 9 and, like, by his 5th 3, you're worried that he's got concussion symptoms, because he keeps popping himself in the head every time. But like, look, this is part of the fun. If you're not enjoying the game of basketball, then what are you doing? It is a game.
I'll tell you what I'm enjoying really quickly on this day of Martin Luther the King. The New York Knicks are getting their ass kicked. It's 75-47 right now.
Ooh.
Max Christie and Najee Marshall are leading the way for the Dallas Mavericks.
They're at the Garden too, so I'm sure they're just.
I'm
really
sure
patient.
they're handling it very well.
Really patient.
I'm sure. Yeah, things are all good in Mike Brown land right now.
To James's point about the Kings, I don't want to go overboard. It's not like Beam Team 1 year. I'm not saying that. But Friday and then even yesterday was the first time in a while I was like, hey, Kings play at 7 o'clock. And it was like 6 o'clock. I was like, let me go get these wings because, like, I do want to watch the game. I do want to see what happens. Obviously, Sabonis was coming back, so I wanted to see what that looked like on Friday. But after how they played on Friday, you get to Sunday evening, I'm like, all right, let's see what they're like. It's been months since I had that type of energy towards watching a Kings game. And I think Dylan Cardwell and his energy and the way it's kind of spread throughout some of those guys is a big reason for that.
Yeah, I think the same thing about Max. And it reminds me of the 2018 Kings, the 18-19, the Dave Yeager year where they won 39 games. Like, look, this team is not nearly as successful as that team was, but it's a lot more talented than that team was. But they were fun, and they gave you something other than, just a dreary, what's going to probably be a 25-win season here. They ran, they played with heart, they played fast. As soon as a bucket was made, they had it running the other way already. Like, that's, I think we're starting to get to a point where there's a lot more fun to this, and that's good because this was getting a little dreadful to go watch and for people to tune into, and all of a sudden it's not. And a lot of that is because of the exuberance of guys like Dylan Cardwell and the play of Max Reno and again Malik Monk finding himself while Dennis Schroeder was out for 3 games.
Yeah, things are fun, more enjoyable. Nick is kind of tough to watch right now, no?
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I think
And
I've
tough
told-
in the sense of we really want a lot out of him and it just hasn't shown.
yeah, I think I've told you guys this. Like, it's easier to be Dylan Cardwell than it is to be Max Reno. And it's easier to be Keon Ellis than it is to be Nick Clifford. It's, when you have a whole bunch of things that if you're like a 5-tool or like a Swiss Army knife, right? Doug loves to talk about Swiss Army knife type players. If you're a guy that, can score with both hands and can go shoot the 3 and can take somebody off the dribble and can, like, you have all this stuff, that's really difficult to translate all of those things to the NBA court. When you're a guy that plays defense and shoots a 3 or plays defense and grabs rebounds, it's like you have 2 jobs. Go do those 2 things and do them really well. And so I think Neek has all kinds of things in his bag. I think he can take people off the dribble. I think he's an excellent passer. I think he's a great rebounder for his position. Like the defensive side of the ball, he's doing really well, like playing defense with his chest. But it's almost like there's too much to give him at such a young age. And so it's easier for some guys to just walk in and be the player they were in high school and college. And for other guys, it's not that easy because they don't give you the ball and let you dribble. They don't give you the ball and let you go draw fouls like Nick Clifford did his whole final year at Colorado State. They don't ask of you all of these things of you to score 18 points or to grab 9 rebounds. So you're kind of locked in a box and you don't know how to help. And again, I think it's just like the maturation of a young player. He'll get to the summer, they'll work on his 3-point shot, they'll work on some of the other basics, and he'll improve probably more during the summer than he will any point at this point in the season, unless we get to a point after the All-Star break where they've traded DeMar DeRozan, they've traded, Malik Monk, they've traded, Keon Ellis, they've traded maybe Zach LaVine, and all of a sudden Nick Clifford is needed for 25 to 30 minutes a game. And that's going to be when, again, it would be a scaled down team without all of these players that do lots and lots of things. And so he might be able to show more of his game, but I wouldn't be too concerned right now. Like if we're still talking this way next season, then we're also starting to compare him to Colby Jones and to Justin James and to that group, that type of player that isn't able to make the transition to the NBA level the right way.
And I would probably say if I was Doug Christie, Bobby Jackson, anybody on that staff, I don't need more of your bag. I need you to defend, and when the ball swung to you, knock down the open 3. That's it. I'm not looking for anything extra. You slash, a little bit. You do a really good job on offensive rebounding here and there, but like if you're waiting for the invitation or the opportunity to show more of what you got offensively, I'm not looking for that. Let's start with hitting an open 3, which I feel like I haven't seen him do in weeks at this point. So somebody in there should be simplifying the game for him. Defend, hit the open 3. That's your job right now. And let's see if he's able to do that.
Yeah, but remember, there's a big difference between a scorer and a shooter, a pure shooter. And so I think Neek is more of a scorer than he is a pure shooter. So again, you're kind of asking him to limit who he is. And again, that's what you have to do, right? Until he's able to develop and show you that he can handle, task number 1. But still, it's like as a basketball player, you're fighting internally the whole time. The ball gets swung to you, and for your whole life, you're used to grabbing the ball and going right to the rim. And all of a sudden, you're asked to just stand there and shoot the 3. And so it's complicated. It's not super simple for some of these players to come into the league and find instant success, especially on a team with a ton of high usage players. So just like the opportunity is not going to be there. He needs to adapt for sure. But I think it's one thing to tell a player, hey, you need to adapt, but then you get him in summer league and you have him run the point and have him do all this stuff. And then you get to training camp, you're like, oh, look at this. He's playing this and this and this. And then you get to the actual NBA game and it's like, nope. You don't get to do any of that. Go stand in the corner and shoot the three.
Yeah, and James, that's the story of the NBA and people who make it who don't a lot of the times. You know, two guys that come to my mind off the top of my head are Matt Barnes and Trevor Ariza. They were their whole life scores all over the place. And to Neek's credit or to his defense, these guys didn't figure it out right away. It took them a couple of years, but once they realized this is how I'm going to stay in the league by being a 3-and-D guy, being able to defend multiple positions, and being able to catch and shoot and knock down a three, that's how they both were in the league for 10, 12 years. Other guys like a Dennis Smith Jr., who didn't figure out, like, this is how you got to do it, they're gone. Like, that's just the case. You're not – the majority of these guys, you ain't going to do nearly half of the things you were asked to do in college or that you think you're able to. You need to figure out what is going to keep me here, what's going to keep me on an NBA roster. And right now, for Nick Clifford, his job is to be a 3-and-D guy. Stand in the corner for a few possessions. And when it comes to you, it gets swung to you, knock down the corner three. That's your job. If you can't do that, we'll find the next guy to do that. Like that's who you are right now.
Real quick before we go to break, it's funny because before he got drafted, the year before he got drafted, he was just a 3-and-D guy. And then they took him and they added the passing and they added the ability to get to the rim and the ability to draw fouls in his final year. So he wasn't just a 3-and-D guy going into the league. Now it's like, hey, we got to back it up a little bit, and you got to be Keon Ellis, and then you can be Nick Clifford down the road.
Mm-hmm. We'll come back. We'll talk much more about the Kings with our Kings insider, James Ham. Specifically, has anything that we've seen over the course of the last couple of days, last couple of games, done anything to change your perception on them? We'll talk more with James Ham with DLo KC. Return here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320.
Macho Man beat the crap out of him.
That was hilarious. I laughed
That's funny.
so hard when I saw that this morning. I was like, oh my God. Everybody really did hate that dude.
I'm surprised he didn't start bleeding.
They hit the shit out of him.
Did I ever tell you, when I worked at Copeland's, I had a kid who worked for me that had gone to like professional wrestling school. And he was like, he wasn't very big. He's probably like 5'6", but one of those dudes that can like do backflips and stuff. Like, super strong little gymnast dude. And he was there and went up against a big guy and did some crazy move. And then the dude was too clumsy and dropped him on his head and almost broke his neck. And so he's like, okay, I probably shouldn't do this anymore because this is probably going to end up with me getting paralyzed or something.
Ahmed Johnson.
I had to say, did he train with Goldberg?
We don't got to do all that, but like maybe DLo KC take wrestling school for a day this summer.
Oh man, them dudes when they showed on Tough Enough when they had to do the ropes.
No, we'll just have you guys run the ropes. All you guys do just run the ropes for like 30 minutes.
We got to run the ropes and then take a bump. We got to hit the mat and take a bump.
I'm gonna start making calls.
I'm down. I'll go take some bumps for some social media videos.
Leezy, you ask if there's, since we have more tape on Max, is there any player he reminds me of? I don't want to make a judgment yet. I know this sounds weird. I want to wait and see how the Kings develop him for next season. Like, do they add 20 pounds to him? Do they keep him lean and have him as a perimeter player? Because I don't know what the final product is going to be. Like, go look at Vucevic as a young prospect coming out of USC. And, they decided again to make him sort of a bigger center, even though he's only, I think Vucevic is only 6'9". So I want to see what he looks like a year in. And he's not very old. I mean, he's not very young. What is he, 22, almost 23? Like, he's closer to developing into like a full-grown man.
I thought Big Boots was about 6'11". Let me see.
How many
Could be wrong,
shots
though.
do we get of Mark Davis watching Fernando Mendoza tonight?
Is he gonna be at the game?
Mm-hmm.
He is 6'9". Good call there, James.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was taller than that.
Yeah, the Kings tried to get back in that draft and draft him. It was a 16th pick in the 2011 NBA draft.
Fantastic knowledge.
Yeah. I remember watching him pre-draft workouts. I also remember Rudy Gobert coming in and being like a stick. Like, his legs were like pencils. Like, he had clearly worked out, so he was trying to like flex for us. And it was like, man, before you start flexing, you should probably hit leg day
Rudy,
at least once. Yeah.
It's the day you walked into this league.
It's crazy. He's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Gobert was I want to say it's before Vivek on the team.
I'm sure it's nothing, Michael.
How long is he? Oh, no, 2014. No, Vivek
Yeah,
on the
turned
team.
it around. I thought everything was going to be okay, and then it's been a bad 3 weeks or so, 2.5 weeks.
Hang on, James. All right, we're back here with James Ham talking Kings basketball. No Kings game tonight. They lost last night to Portland after beating Washington on Friday night. They'll take on the Miami Heat tomorrow and the Toronto Raptors on Wednesday. Both of those teams will be playing on the second night of a back-to-back, as Miami has Golden State tonight, and then Golden State has Toronto tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So Miami and Toronto will both be on the second night of a back-to-back when they take on the Sacramento Kings. Of course, the Kings will also be on the second night of a back-to-back when they take on Toronto, if that sort of thing matters to you. Of course, two tough teams coming up here. Hammer, has the way the Kings have played recently, particularly with wins against the Rockets, Lakers, and Knicks. Everybody beats the New York Knicks at this point. But with wins against three playoff teams, three good basketball teams, has that changed your perspective at all of this basketball team, maybe some of their players, maybe even how Doug is doing as a coach?
I would say certainly how Doug is doing as a coach, because I think he's somehow found a way to blend these guys together a little bit. So I think that was a problem. You had these young guys, you had too many injuries. The young guys are forced to play. You know, again, I talked about Precious earlier, but Precious doesn't get signed until the first week in November. So it's not like he had a training camp or anything. And the guy all of a sudden starts a whole bunch of games for you. I think this has just been like a really, really rocky season where guys have been in and out of the rotation. Guys have been hurt. And then when the losing starts to set in and it starts to snowball, it gets a little out of hand, it becomes just this bear. And, you know, it's really hard on everybody. We had this kind of interesting moment at the beginning of our pregame conversation with Doug yesterday. I asked him about, you know, like sort of how this is different for him to have a 4-game win streak coming into a game, and has it taken some of the pressure off of him? Does the coffee taste better? And he said, yeah, it does. But at the same time, you know, it's a work in progress. And he gave the line about, you know, you want, it's not always about wins and losses as much as it is about the process of getting better and all that. And so I do feel like they are getting better. And I also feel like some of the veterans are playing more to their strengths and not to just putting up stats on a bad team. And so sometimes that means that, you've got to give a little bit of yourself. Like, again, I thought uh, DeMar DeRozan didn't have a great start to the game yesterday. He finished with 14 points, but he didn't get there until the fourth quarter, and he didn't get in double figures until the fourth quarter. But he had 7 assists. And, I mentioned it, how, they had 29 assists last night. All 10 guys had an assist. They had 36 assists on Friday. All 10 guys had an assist. Those are weird stats. Those are stats you don't usually see where all 10 guys. And what that means is that they're starting to play for each other a little bit. And that's something that the Doug is always preaching, is playing for each other and trying to get better. So do I think that it's a good thing that they're picking up a bunch of wins right now? No, because that ship has sailed. You can't do that now. But I do think it's a good thing to not lose every game, because what you don't want to do is have your identity be that you're just losers, that you're losing every single game and that you're not good. And you don't want that like permeating the locker room. You don't want that getting into the young players' heads. But I look at this season as one that's going to very likely have changes coming. And so what we see today, what we saw 3 weeks ago, it's almost like, again, we're dealing with multiple seasons within a season. And I kind of want to see what happens between now and February 5th. And before we really just completely throw this team away. If not, if they don't do anything and they keep everybody together, I think it'd be the worst thing that they could do. But I could also see this team getting on a bit of a run, because the second half of the season is really bad. Like, it's easy. They have the easiest schedule in the NBA from here on out. And it's not even, I don't think it's going to be really that close. So yeah, lots to think about with this group.
Do you ever think about seeing like Sabonis out there getting precious and the way that they played in the last week and a half, 2 weeks or so, and think that maybe this season could have gone differently? Or do you feel like it was always written to be how it is?
No, I mean, I think we all, we walked into the season and we all made our predictions. And, when Keegan got hurt right off the bat, I think my predictions went from 38 to 36 wins. But I also thought that the floor was 30, 32 wins. And I am surprised that it's gone this far south. But I also, when you take over a team mid-season and it's just chaos and you trade your best player and you're trying to hold on, and, Doug did every scouting report or most scouting reports himself. He had he wasn't dealing with people he was comfortable with. And so it was just hold on for dear life and get through the season last year. This offseason, Doug hires a whole staff and he does all this work. And I think he's realizing now, it's such a huge job to be a head coach. How many times does he have to talk to us in a week? And it's 25 minutes a day during, when you have games. You got to talk in pregame, you got to talk in postgame. You got to talk at every practice. He also has 30 employees that are underneath him. There's a whole coaching staff, the training staff. Those are all basically his employees when he's there. He's a manager of all of those people. And so you're getting pulled a million different ways. And he keeps saying, you don't know what this seat's like until you're sitting in it. And I've felt that from him the whole time, that he's fully digesting, as he's trying to do the best to digest what's happening the whole time. But sometimes you're going to lose 7 games in a row because you didn't make the right adjustment, or you had guys lose their way, or you had injuries, and you just got to keep playing through it. So I think it's been a really, again, it's going to end up being a bunch of seasons within one, but it's a really strange one to kind of figure out and wrap your head around.
Do we talk a lot about Max, Dylan, the young guys, what type of position this season can put them in for next year. Do you think what Doug is doing right now is putting him in a positive position for next season as the head coach?
I would hope so, because look, it's one thing for a general manager to sign a guy to a 2-way contract and like put him in your building and say, yeah, he'll probably spend most of the time at Stockton. It's another thing to draft a guy in the second round and say, hey, he's probably going to spend the entire season in Stockton. They signed Drew Eubanks to play the backup center position. They did not, they did not draft Max Reynaud to be a starting center for 20 games in his first 40. That's not what they signed him up for. So I think Doug has done a really good job of developing the young players so far, him and his staff, but of also not losing sight of like the love, like, because that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a moment where they kind of came out the other side, and they're getting a moment where they can breathe for a minute and not just have like everything about them being so negative. And so I think, again, he's done a really good job of developing some of these guys. And it's like, if Neat Clifford becomes part of that, he becomes part of it. But, not everybody develops at the same pace, and not everybody continues to get better. I do want to see what Doug looks like without some of the security blankets. Like if you take a DeMar DeRozan and move him, or a Domantas Sabonis and move him, what does it look like when Max Reynaud isn't just a young center who's playing because Domas is hurt, but he's your starting center moving forward? Or what does Keegan look like if he's your starting small forward and DeMar DeRozan isn't there shooting 15 to 16 shots a game? And it's his show, and he's got to perform. What does that look like? And so I think we still have a lot we can learn from this season, which is why you keep showing up and why you keep tuning in. We all want to see where it all ends up, especially after the All-Star break. I mean, after the trade deadline, when this team could look way different. And I'm kind of here for it. I want to see what the next version of this team can be, with a bunch of young guys running through a soft schedule in the second half. And, whether they win or lose, at least they're going to have an opportunity to compete on a lot of those games. Even if a lot of those players that again, security blanket type players, those aren't just security blankets for Doug, they're security blankets for the young guys as well. Take those things away and see how they look, and see if they continue to grow, or if they fall flat and you kind of go, they are who they are.
I wonder if they're not so much security blankets as like maybe it's the exact opposite, because you used DeMar as an example. You probably throw Levine in there, where Doug might feel like, yeah, I got to go to these guys, like I have to. Whereas there could be a certain like freeing feeling, like if they're not here past the trade deadline, and it's like, yeah, there is no pressure to play DeMar DeRozan here in the final minutes of the fourth quarter because so-and-so is playing really good. There's no pressure to play Zach LaVine right here because he's not here anymore, and I've got someone playing with, like, I can run through that. I wonder if there's a certain like, okay, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Maybe I'm not as talented. Maybe my group isn't as talented as they were, but I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be a good thing. Like, I do want to see Keegan Murray. Like, who are you? What do you have for us? And, like, you're the guy. You're the number one option, the number two option. And again, if it doesn't work out, that's okay. That's not what this season's about. It's about discovery. And so I'm hoping we get to that point. But I also know if we get to game 65 and all these guys are still on the roster, it's going to be really tough for Doug to say, hey, DeMar, you're not playing tonight. It just is. Hey, Russ, you're not playing tonight. Zach, you're not playing tonight. And that's going to be very, very difficult. And so I don't know how it'll all work out, but it's at least interesting to like look ahead and see what the future might hold for Doug and for the rest of the squad.
Friday night, it felt like it was a late scratch at Keon Ellis. I can't remember how that whole day went, but Keon didn't play the last two games, and with Dennis Schroeder coming back, that was one of the things we were wondering about with the minutes with the guards. Didn't have to deal with it in those two games. Where is Keon at right now? Is it something that's day to day, game to game, or is he possibly out for a longer period of time?
It doesn't look like it's anything long term. I did see him Wednesday after, I can't even remember, was that the Knicks? I don't remember who was Wednesday. I saw him after.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. I saw him after that game walk out with his knee wrapped in ice, a huge ice bag on his knee, and he was limping to the elevator going, to the practice facility for treatment after the game. So I say that because I want people to know that this isn't some mystical, they're holding Keon out because of injury. I mean, because he's about to get traded. He's legitimately banged up a little bit. He's just, got a little bit of looseness in his knee. So I don't know if that's going to be, like if it were a quote unquote playoff game, I think Keon could have played. But also, like, there's no reason to rush him at this point because you're already facing an uphill battle to get him minutes, especially with Schroeder coming back. But it is a legitimate injury. It's just not a major injury that's going to keep him out forever. He did have an MRI and it was clean, if that's the question, sort of.
Probably hasn't been discussed enough, but you said last week on the Insiders I think it was Friday. I can't remember what day it was. I think it was Friday though, that you're pretty sure Keon Ellis isn't going to be here much longer for Sacramento, be it trade deadline or off season. Like, Keon's future isn't with Sacramento.
Yeah, and I don't like, it's not animosity or anything. It's not that like they hate Keon or Keon hates them. But I think the relationship was slightly fractured during the offseason when they picked up his $2 million option as opposed to paying him like the $10+ million a year he was going to get on the open market if he were a free agent. The Kings just didn't have the money to do it, right? And they chose to spend their money on Dennis Schroeder what money they did have. And then, we've gone 40 something games into the season and Keon just hasn't like etched out his spot in the rotation and, sort of been able to get a guaranteed 24 minutes a night or whatever it might be. And so he's had a very up and down season. He's has stretches where he's shot the ball well. He's had stretches where he's turned the ball over more than you're used to. He hasn't been good in transition. There have been plenty of blow-bys on the defensive end of the ball where he's letting his player get to the basket. And like, look, I think Keon's got a lot going on in his head because the last thing you want to do going into a free agency year is have a season like this where you're in and out of the rotation. But I also know that there are teams around the league that love Keon Ellis, and they're more than willing to give him like a long-term contract this offseason. I think the Kings are looking at it and they understand very much that, like, look, at $2 million, it's okay to be in and out of the rotation. If you paid him 10 or 12 million bucks and he can't earn his way onto the court and beat out other players, then all of a sudden it's on you. And you're the one who looks bad for signing the contract for a player like that. And his value goes down considerably when all of a sudden he's making 10 or 12 million versus 2. So I expect him to be either traded for like a late first round pick or a couple of second round picks, or I expect him to be as part of a bigger trade and to sort of act as a first round pick if you're trying to move off of a bigger contract in the coming weeks. And, there's always a possibility he's still on the roster. And there's always like a slight possibility that, February 9th rolls around and they have a conversation and maybe he signs back. But I think it's pretty far down a road at this point. And so I would be surprised.
James, before we get out of here, get away from the Kings just a little bit. We got a prediction on a national championship game going on tonight in Miami. Miami versus Indiana. Number 10 seed Miami taking on number 1 seed Indiana.
I'm going with Indiana because I think their quarterback is straight up a winner. And I think a team like the Las Vegas Raiders, more than arm strength or, height or weight or speed or anything else, they need a winner. And that dude just like, he's impressed me so much. He's very respectful. He seems like he's a good kid. When they ran over the last team, he ran right over to the other sideline and shook the coach's hand. And, he seems like he's got his head on right. And I think he's just really, really good. Now, I don't know if it translates to the pro level, because I can name a bajillion different really good college quarterbacks that weren't good pro quarterbacks. But he just seems to have that it factor, and that makes me think that he's gonna be able to get them through this game tonight.
Over under on shots of Michael Irvin.
What's the number? Matter of fact, don't even say the number. Over.
Yeah.
Over 47 times. Michael Irvin showing on the sidelines. You're like,
that
they need the Michael Irvin cam.
I actually don't hate that. One of the alt broadcasts on, one of the ESPN stations people pay $40 for.
Yeah.
Put the Michael Irvin cam on.
Yeah, put the mic
there.
on him too.
Well,
you do it on the app. You
do
can
the Patreon version. Yeah. That's definitely on the pay version.
I don't want to see that. I'm seeing the preview. I don't need the Ray Lewis cam. Keep him out of the way.
This is what a interesting difference in Miami, this historic football universe, the Michael Irvins and the Ray Lewises, and you can Dwayne Johnson, Scott Exter, you could just run through Jimmy Johnson, you could just run through the list of people who have been associated with that university. And then you got Indiana. And the first thing you think of with Indiana University is Bobby Knight. you are not thinking about their football program.
Yep.
And here they are, where they have not only been incredible this season, they have in many, many instances been dominant.
Oh, yeah.
And they have a chance to win a national title tonight against I don't want to use it. Heritage isn't the right term, but this is a school with a very rich NFL history.
I think, is
it fair?
Fine. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
This is one of the all-time schools in college football.
It feels like it. It feels like it. But, you think of Georgia's won so many titles recently, Bama, Clemson.
Yeah, but the 80s and 90s, Miami.
It's been a while since Miami's done it. Yeah, there might be people watching tonight who are
first time.
Yeah.
They got a couple of different generations, though. You got the 80s Miamis, then you got the early 2000s Miamis. These are some of the great teams in college football history. I think the 30 for 30 might have helped with that, too, as far as people remembering who they were.
Or learning who they were.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm just I'm so impressed with is Fernando Mendoza, right? Because, I mean, this is a kid that was at Cal and left Cal last year. Indiana's never been on the stage. What are they doing there? And not only does he have them on the stage, they're the number one team in the country and probably favored to win this game by at least something. I mean, really, really.
Half or something like that.
Yeah, it's super impressive because what he did to Oregon was just crazy. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited to watch a little bit of it.
I got the U. I think the U wins tonight.
All right.
Yeah, I was 2 for 2 over the weekend. There's no point in me even making predictions at this point. Sit this one out, kid. Well, the Knicks are within 22 now.
Boy.
Things are looking
saying
up.
There's a chance.
An epic comeback.
And this is this the no, there's a whole slate of games tonight. This is the last of the marquee games tonight.
Well, I think Warriors Heat is on NBC.
I don't think it is. I think Boston and Detroit. There's the game. There's the marquee game. Boston and Detroit. They're on NBC tonight.
Two best teams in the East.
Not wrong.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. It certainly isn't the Knicks right now.
It is not. We will be here tomorrow morning, though, at 10 a.m., beginning with James Ham and Kyle Madsen on the Insiders on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 13. Talking Raiders. Fernando Mendoza and the game last night, we were marveling at Indiana's play calling there, not just throughout the game, but in the final.
That fourth down play call was fantastic. The effort by Mendoza on that play is iconic.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That was great. I was going for Miami, but I'm watching the game and I just enjoyed watching what Indiana was doing and what they were able to pull off. That was a really good game. I got a little upset at Reese. I didn't get upset with him, but that's aggressive. But I was watching, you know me, during these national championship games. You know, I go to my alternate
Alternate
program.
broadcast, yeah.
And I went to the coaches, to the film room joint.
Okay.
And even though they had Mike Gundy there, they had a few other coaches there.
Okay.
And I just enjoyed hearing them talk about strategy and, hey, you know, because I think I got to them in the second half. They're like, yeah, you know, you got to start thinking when Indiana went up 10, they're like, yeah, you got to start kind of expanding where you would consider going for it on fourth down. Whereas maybe on the Indiana side at the 45, that's would be your marker of saying we're going for it on fourth down.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fourth quarter, you're down 10. You might have 3 more possessions left. You might have to extend that by 10 to 15 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're on your own 40 and it's a good down and distance, you make it little stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that you think about as a coach. And Reese comes in there and he's watching the game with me and he goes, is this a recording or is this live? I said, no, it's live. It's alternate broadcast. You know, this is the coaches, the film room where you understand, you know, kind of the coaching aspect of the game. He goes, do they have the regular broadcast available? Like can you watch it like you normally do? It's like, yeah, but I'm trying to learn about the coaching. Just seems like it'd be a little bit more exciting if it was on the regular broadcast as opposed to this one.
You know, it would be exciting, son, if you paid rent. That'd be really exciting.
He's got a point. I mean,
You don't get
who's ever been like, yeah, remember Mike Gundy's call when he was breaking down the last touchdown 5 years ago? Like, no.
Reese is 13. Yeah, you don't get it. You don't get a say on what version of the game we watch.
All right, Dad, I guess we'll break down cover 2 the next week.
You're smarter for this, son.
Yeah, you need to know what the cover 2. And then the guy, one of the things he did was he broke down, I can't even remember what it was called, but it was like the 1 gap, the 2 gap, the 2I, the 3I, the 3U, like we're all the.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Reese is right, bro. Put the real game on.
And usually at the start of the fourth quarter, I go to the original broadcast. This was halfway through the third quarter. And I had to switch before the fourth quarter because I was like, I'm tired of listening to you complain about this. You're taking the enjoyment away from the game.
Okay, Reese. I'm sure Mike Gundy sitting there with a little spit cup for his tobacco. Like, yeah, I'm running, doing this.
Oh, one of the coaches was pissed off at Carson Beck. He's like, you know, I don't like his demeanor. I don't like his demeanor. His hands going up, palms to the air. You can't do that. You're the leader. This is a national champion. See, and then 5 minutes later, see, he's doing it again. He's doing it. I'm telling you, I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
What coach was this?
I don't even know who this guy was.
Now, to be in Reese's defense, you don't need to be on those alternate broadcasts very long.
They were doing a good job.
Kenny keeping the Manning cast alive.
Look, man,
I think
they weren't doing that good of a job. It's like
learning the
it's
game.
cool.
They were breaking it down.
What did you learn? 3 things that you learned from it.
I learned when, like I told you, when I need to go to a different spot on the field for where I would go for it on fourth down. You know who should watch that is Ben Johnson. He should have been watching the film room.
What about Dan Campbell?
Campbell, absolutely.
Isn't that just the coach's philosophy?
Yeah, no, they're wrong. So they need to watch that. I'm going to send it to them. Watch this.
Oh, how was the Office episode?
You said there was nothing to do last night.
Yeah, I didn't get to it. I didn't get, because then I ended up going to the gym because I had time, because Ryan got in trouble last night. She got sent to bed early. So I had time to go to the gym and actually shoot before it closed.
You had more time to watch The Office, what it sounds like.
Well, you have a gym in your backyard.
That's true, yeah,
and your garage.
Yeah,
you have 2 gyms.
You know what the weather? Well, it's not the same out here.
It was foggy.
Yeah,
it was
and it's wet on the court and everything. So no,
your cleaning crew didn't.
I don't have a cleaning crew. So I say that to say, from like 10 to 11, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna go to the gym, shoot around a little bit. Did that, came home, hit the actual weights, and then I had to watch Celtics Pistons. So I just think yesterday. It was a good game, though.
Yeah, that was a hell of a game.
Hey, it's the Jason Tatum away, I tell you.
You got an all-star in Jaylen Brown.
We're gonna talk about that game. I got a take.
Well, okay. Well, we'll get to that. I want just let me mention.
Yeah, my
this.
bad, my bad. Yeah.
No, I just
Reese messed everything up.
I just mentioned this. Oh, leave Reese alone. He's okay. You could check in on the alternate broadcast for a couple minutes. You ain't got to sit there for a whole
Reese, we
half.
stand with you over here.
Like, yeah,
I'm not watching
like,
the game with him,
Like
man.
at first, I'm like, hey, young man, you don't get a say in this. Sit down. You know, he actually has a point. Don't sit there and watch that for 20 minutes.
He could have learned something. You don't even play football.
Are you
or
going to
coach
send Reese to
football.
school
So
the next
what's he
day
gonna
talking
learn?
about the coach's cast when he's talking to his
Yeah.
friends about it? Yeah, Mike
Yeah.
Gundy had some real nice
Hey,
things to say.
Yeah.
No, don't talk to me about the game, Reese. That's how
Yay.
that's going to go.
Hey, Mr. Taylor, do you know when you go for it on fourth down? Do you know what part of the field you're supposed to be on? His dad made me watch this crap last
that was
night.
an incredible call when Mendoza scored. Yeah, sorry, Dad had it on Mike Gundy.
Yeah, no, sorry. I was watching some coach scream about Carson Beck's body language.
I wouldn't draft him though if it was me.
Reese going to overtell the story so much. There's going to be a knock on the Caraway house today. Mr. Caraway, we've got some disturbing comments from your son at school today. We just wanted to do a wellness
Reese is going to
check.
be too smart to talk sports with his friends and be talking with his teachers and stuff.
Do you know what a cover 3 is? No. So get out of my face.
Let me tell you about the Tampa 2 guys.
And that's the beginning of Reese's book, Why He Had No Friends in Junior High. He kept talking about cover 3 and where to spot the ball for a fourth down.
Spent my time drawing up playbooks.
Kyle Shanahan. That's what Kyle did. Young Kyle Shanahan. Did you see?
Kenny might have been on the
Kyle Shanahan's dad was Mike. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Have you seen the clip of him on the sidelines for the Packers Broncos Super Bowl?
I don't
Kyle,
think I have.
He's like 14 or 15 years old.
Okay.
And he's like one of the guys that carries the footballs, and that was his job. But
Okay.
it was kind of, I had never seen that till like a couple months ago.
Mhm.
Look at Kyle Shanahan on the sidelines of the Super Bowl, little teenage Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That's who Reese could have been. But he didn't want to watch.
Did they lose that one too?
No, they won.
Oh, no, they won that one. Yeah. Before we leave the college football championship, we were talking about Indiana's play calling there on that final drive that resulted in the field goal. Then Carson Beck gets the ball, and Miami's moving the ball pretty well. And watching Carson Beck, I had a realization, like immediate, like I've watched this young man win 2 national championships already for a different school. And here he is, like a quarterback that signed as a free agent, leading Miami at the time, leading Miami to a potential national championship winning game winning score. And, obviously it ends, with the interception. And I just watched that. Like, I don't think I'll ever love college football the same again, because we've talked on more than one occasion this season about how I just kind of passively watched. There was no appointment viewing for me. Ohio State and Michigan was like fine, but like if you're gloating with your friends that went to Michigan who are Michigan fans and you're talking trash, it's like it's more fun when there's stakes. Like the stake was Michigan might have gotten into the 12. Might have. God knows what else would have happened with Michigan had they gotten into the college football playoff.
Crazy.
But does that situation even happen?
Yeah.
Does it? Like I don't know, but I didn't feel the need to come in and Ohio State won, because in the end, if they had lost, it wouldn't have mattered. Like Michigan beat Ohio State last year. Ohio State won the national championship. When that game meant something, someone missed out. Like that classic, what was it, 42-39, 10 years ago or whatever it was. Michigan missed out on a chance to win the national championship because of that game. That doesn't exist anymore. And looking at a player who was such a factor in 2 national championships, leading a different school to a national championship was just kind of it was really the perfect end of the season for me, because it was like, and this is as old man get off my lawn as you can get. The game is different, and I'll always see it and pay attention to it. I just don't know that I'll ever love it the same way. The stakes will always be different. Like this, or in some cases non-existent. And that was the perfect end to the season for me. It was like, yeah, this is all very, very different.
Yeah, it's
now we got Duke suing a player because of a potential NIL violation. The second lawsuit against the student athlete, and it's like we said when this all started, if you're college football, you're the NCAA, whatever, you just got to take it. You don't have a choice. But behind the scenes, you better be working out a way to fix this. Whether it's a collective bargaining agreement, whether it's a contract, like whatever, you're going to have to, because the transfer portal and the institution of NILs has been a deadly combination to college sports. And no, I just don't love it the way I used to.
I feel the same way, and I love it. I love college football. I love college basketball, but I definitely don't love it the same way. It's not the same, and I wonder if it'll ever be the same again. I think it was a double-edged sword when for decades it was like, pay the players. They deserve to be paid. And the second you did that, Pandora's box was open. I joked about it a little bit before the show when we were kind of talking about this. I said, I liked it better when they were paid illegally.
You're right. Right.
That's when things were still, you could still have some semblance of college football and college sports in general. But
and if a national title got stripped the time or two, so be it. No one cares.
Did they wait too long? Was this avoidable? Like, I saw a tweet said like they should have just let the kids back then have sponsorship deals where it's like, yeah, so and so Shabazz Napier has a deal with Ford and Connecticut or whatever. It's like they can sign their deals and like get things that way rather than now. It's just like Kenny said, it's Pandora's box is open.
I think it would have always been like this. I think it would have always been like this because
it would have always been something.
Like this player can now sell his whatever autographs and things like that and make money that way. But like now it's just like these guys are professionals.
And what's really a killer is the transfer portal. We talked about it before, but the transfer portal is just, that is what's destroying everything. Because to a certain degree, if that didn't exist, there wouldn't be no Carson Beck. You wouldn't be watching him in Miami and feeling this way.
Shout out Fernando Mendoza was playing at Cal last year.
Yeah, man. And once again, being able to get in that portal and move from school to school without any penalty that's the killer. That's the one that's killing everything. And they're trying, now the schools are suing the kids and stuff like that. They're trying to find different ways around that. But I think that's where it starts. If you want to pay them, if you want them to be able to accept money off their name, image, and likeness, that's fine. But they got to start signing contracts, 2-3 year deals. And like you said, a CBA or something for NCAA student athletes. Because this is, it's bad right now. It's bad. And I love the sport. I love both sports, football and basketball. But it's nasty right now.
How would that even work? Because it's like schools are suing players now because the deals are signed. And it's like, I mean, now the game is like I could sign this 1 year NIL deal. It's like I figure a player would be able to sue a school back with NCAA if they tried setting rules on the transfer portal. No, because like now people are signing contracts. Like now this is all professional.
If my first thought is the NCAA puts some wording when you sign your letter of intent and all this other stuff to say, if you decide to leave this school, you have to sit out a year. If you decide to leave, the only way that you can't is if the coach leaves the school, or you can file for some type of hardship, like a family hardship type thing like they used to. And that has to be approved. That's going to be looked at by a board. It has to be approved. But if it's not one of those two things, you have to sit out a year if you want to leave.
Can I tell you my concern with that? One, you're listening to DLo KC on KIFM West Sacramento, KRXQ HD2 Sacramento, ESPN 1320, live on the Odyssey app, iHeart app, live on your smart speaker, live on the radio, YouTube, Twitch as well. If the SEC decides they don't like that proposition from the NCAA, they could get the ACC to not like it either, or the Big Ten, and the different, power. Guess we're down to 4 conferences, and they just go, yeah, we don't like that, so we're just not going to abide by it, because the NCAA without the power is useless. Like the NCAA as it stands, for the most part, is not needed. There's SEC commissioners. There's little oversight, if any. Like they are just not needed the way that they used to. And the rules that need to be set probably need to be set by the conferences. It needs to be the commissioners or presidents of the conferences coming together to determine what the rules should be. And the NCAA comes along and goes, good job, guys. Hit you with the Jason Witten. Good job, guys. And so, that's what we're doing. And keep it moving.
Now, here's what and maybe you can help me figure this out. Who does ESPN have the deal with? Is it
the conference?
Well, no. Well,
or my
right now,
misunderstanding.
college football playoff is with.
This is going to sound insane. Isn't the college football playoff group separate?
That's what I've got to find out. Is it in conjunction with the NCAA? Because the only reason I say if it is, that's the leverage that the NCAA has. It's like, yeah, you cannot like this and you cannot want to do this, but we signed an 11-year deal. You're gonna do what you're doing after that. After this 11-year deal is done. If the NCAA has any type of collaboration on that college football playoff deal, that would be their leverage to be like, this is what we're doing for the next 10 years. And when you're done, then you can reassess that when you're done, which you're probably already going to do anyway. Like that. Yeah, that's me saying that I'm going to put this restriction in here isn't going to stop you from doing what you're already going to do, which is leave and start your own super league in about 10 years.
Very sorry. Hold on. I'm scanning. I'm scanning as best I can, and I feel like it's very easy to find because I'm seeing ACC. I think the college football playoff is separate. I know this sounds ridiculous. Is separate from the NCAA.
I think it is too.
Actually. So I am 10,000 words into this article before I come to the first NCAA reference, and here's what it says: the agreement with the college football playoff, and that's how they keep referring to it. The agreement with the college football playoff marks ESPN's second significant college sports media rights extension in 2024, following the 8-year deal with the NCAA in January that encompasses exclusive rights to 40 NCAA championship events.
So it sounds
Tell me I'm crazy. They're separate.
They're definitely separate. Like the TV deal and the college football playoff, that's something with the conferences, but the NCAA still has a tie. They still have a tie.
They have a tie, yes.
And it sounds like it's 8 years or maybe 7 years now because that just.
But I don't think that's related to the to the playoffs. This is dated March 19th, 2024.
Yeah, but you're right.
This is when the college football playoff and ESPN agreed to a new deal.
You're right. And football rules all, but the SEC could say we're leaving in football, but you still got to deal with NCAA and basketball, baseball, all this other stuff. So and you still have to abide by whatever parameters they have. So you still have a relationship with them. So that may give you a 7-year break, 8-year break for them to still abide by that. But like I said, they're going to leave anyway. You can't stop them from leaving. They're gonna, the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12 might be in there, and if the ACC can get their stuff together, maybe those three will let them tag along. But they're gonna start their super league as soon as they can. They're gonna get out of that and start their super league.
But once they know the dollars.
But the whole premise of it is that's that's what they kind of should be looking at, is that transfer portal. I think that would
The
change
college
some stuff.
football playoff is an independent entity run by the major conferences and Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm
But you're
missing-
right. Football is
missing-
a different animal,
Yeah.
but it's also the driving force.
Yeah, it's the one.
So
It's the
it's
one.
what it's what gets everybody on board.
Yeah. Hey guys, next January, DLo KC hit the road to Las Vegas for the NCAA championship game. I actually really do want to go to that. It's going to be on the West Coast. It's It's a national championship game. I'd want to go to that.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
I don't hate that. I've been resistant to your moves to Las Vegas for years. I'm in.
I think I'm down with that one.
Let's go to the
I wanna
college.
Check that out.
DLo and KC, your live and local Sacramento leader, live covering Clemson and,
Oh
and
Clemson.
can Indiana repeat?
Clemson, I didn't even look at the way too early odds. My guess
Oh, I
is
didn't either.
Ohio State
Got to be.
and Oregon, because Dante Moore's coming back. So I'm gonna say Ohio State and Oregon are the two favorites.
Here they are, way too early college football top 25 rankings. This from CBS, your number one team in the country, the Ohio State University.
Oh,
Number two. Any guesses?
I just saw an article.
Oh, okay.
But is it Texas?
The
there too?
University of Texas,
That'd be crazy. Ohio State, Texas for a national championship game would go crazy.
Georgia, Oregon. Number 5 is Notre Dame. We'll do top 10. Texas A&M, Texas Tech. Indiana at number 8. Ann Arbor at number 9. And Oklahoma at number 10.
Show some respect.
I did.
No, say with your chest next time.
Kyle Whittingham's team.
That Texas making the national championship game in Las Vegas that'd be crazy.
With Arch Manning as the quarterback.
What's the best case? So Texas is 1. What's the other?
I mean, Texas, Ohio State, Texas, Georgia. I don't know that anyone's, with all due respect, is clamoring to see Indiana there again.
We've seen that movie before. No need for a repeat.
Oregon could be interesting because of
the proximity.
the proximity.
Was Texas Alabama that one game where Colt McCoy's arm fell asleep? He got
Yeah.
hit and it was just done for the rest of the
At the Rose Bowl, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miami would be interesting.
Miami would be interesting.
Miami would be interesting. I didn't actually look to see where Miami
They're
was
like
on that
9
list.
or something right now. I think.
Well, I had so these were different lists. I had Kyle Whittingham at 9. I already forgot
Well,
who was
it's-
number 10. So it's in
Said
the
school. I mean,
I said Ann Arbor.
no. The school's name is University of Michigan. You know what would be good.
Depends who you ask.
You know,
I guess.
it would be popping.
Huh.
Texas LSU.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be Texas. Texas would be huge
Yeah.
for Las Vegas. But another needle mover, LSU, Georgia, Miami. Those would, I mean, Ohio State for sure. Those would all be high end.
I don't need to
moves.
see Bama. We don't need to bring Bama out there.
Bama
That'd be
feels
popping, but nah.
it's starting to feel like it was Nick Saban's Alabama.
Did you see he's coming out with a docuseries?
6 parts, I believe.
Yeah.
6?
Don't do that. Nick say
Yeah, no, he-
I got 90 minutes on Eddie Murphy.
I need an hour on why he lied to me, my father, and all the Dolphins fans saying he wasn't going to take the Alabama job. Yeah, we didn't forget. And why he picked Dante Culpepper. So, yeah, we need 6,
I
maybe
like
7.
Nick Saban. Yeah, give me. I'm down for 6.
6?
I mean, it probably could be 4 to be honest with you, but I'm down with that for 6.
Jeter got 10, so, yeah, we can get 6 for Nick Saban.
Jeter needed 3 at most.
No,
Jeter
that was-
needed
don't
0.
do that
Jeter
to
needed
him. It was
0.
good. It was
Oh,
good.
Jeter
Don't
needed
do
0.
that. What are you doing?
Overrated.
What are you doing? That was good. That was good.
I bet it was. I
El
didn't see it.
Capitan.
I turned it off right before I thought it was. I watched, and then they got to the big tease for the Alex Rodriguez thing.
Yeah, he hated A-Rod. Cool, great. Turn the
It-
show
there-
off now.
It's like there were 4 seconds left in the fight, and I just tapped out. I'm John Cena tapping on Gunther, like, get me out of here.
Oh, I got another one that'd be great before we left. I don't think it'll happen, but if SC got there.
Oh yeah,
SC
to Vegas. Yeah, absolutely. Oh God, the callback for that game would be well. Good luck to everybody involved, I guess. I don't know. Jason Jones may or may not join us.
Might be at the gym. Might be in
He
between
might be.
sets.
There's no reason for him not to join us. He was watching his quarterback last night.
He was.
He even texted us the meme.
Yeah,
That's my quarterback.
That's his quarterback.
Maybe he's not prepared to talk about Fernando Mendoza yet.
Mendoza, he's I was listening to some sports radio last night after the game, and he's an icon in Indiana, as he should be, right? Like that is
16-0.
Unbelievably improbable that Indiana football not only won the national championship, but like you said, if you followed everything, there was no team this year that was beating Indiana. Like it wasn't like, oh, they got a Hail Mary and man, just destiny. Like, no, they were the best team in the nation this year. And I never thought I would see that. This is probably the most improbable thing I've ever seen in sports. Can you think of another championship where you're like, I never thought this would happen?
For Indiana, it was a season-long thing. I mean, the Giants beating the Patriots.
But even then, it wasn't.
I mean, George Mason didn't win the title,
right? But that's what I'm saying. They didn't win it.
They didn't win the title.
I was thinking Gonzaga never won, but even if they would have won, like say Gonzaga won this year, we've got like 20 years.
Yeah,
of
it's different now. Yeah,
Is it
it's different?
It's not possible without NIL and the transfer portal,
No.
right? So is it? I'm not trying to take away.
But
it's Indiana, but it's like they
didn't even do it that.
No?
Like they did.
Yeah, did they?
But we think of Miami. Oh, they went and got Carson Beck. To come and paid him all this money. Indiana, what was the stat going around when they played Oregon? It was 55 and 4-star players to 3 or something like that. Like they got, no disrespect, they went to the transfer portal and got people from Sac State and won a national championship. I've never seen anything like this.
They had a coach who was perpetually pissed off until 10 seconds after the buzzer expired. Because the kid gets the interception, picks up that penalty.
Yeah.
He hears about it.
One of the assistants
in emphatic fashion. He hears about it on the sideline. Right. From an assistant.
Yeah.
The head coach is walking up and down, cussing. Very noticeably, he's using specific words because they had just picked up that penalty. It was going to make it, as silly as it sounds, it was going to make the kneel down tougher. And if you saw the kneel that you saw, like it wasn't easy. The buzzer, they finally take that kneel down, help the quarterback up. Like, you have won the national championship. Get this effing headset off of me, and he's taking it, and then finally he looks to his right, looks back, and smiles. Points up, smiles, puts his head down, smile gone. Because he's going to greet Cristobal.
Yeah.
He's going to greet Miami's head coach, and then he's doing the post-game interview in which he does not smile.
That's
a coach.
I've never seen anything like what I've seen at Indiana.
Let's bring in Jason Jones here, rocking his cow gear today.
Well,
that's all right. That's my quarterback. I see you.
That might be the next. Like if Cal were to win the national championship.
Yeah, you know what's sad?
They should have won that one year.
We had him. We had Fernando and Mendoza at Cal, and we had them splitting time with a running quarterback. A very Cal thing to do.
What the closest Cal ever got was they were number 2, and I think number 1 had lost earlier in the day, and they were going to be number 1. Was it Tedford? Let the clock run out.
I think it was Kevin Riley was the quarterback, and the clock ran out, and then Tedford slams the I was covering the Raiders back then, and Warren Sapp had a way of telling me that Cal was a terrible program and never meant anything. And then I think that's the same year around the time where Javed Best played them and ran all over them.
Yeah.
But so the next time that he saw me after that, he just pointed at me and laughed like the kid from the Simpsons.
Nelson.
Yeah, he just pointed and laughed at me because Cal had let the clock run out. I'm like, that was such the Cal way for it to go.
That team was really good, though. That was the year they started off the season against Tennessee, didn't they? At home.
So, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, that was a good.
Yeah,
Tennessee.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's like, of course, Fernando leaves, wins the Heisman, and now the Mendoza jersey is about to go off the racks in my native area of Los Angeles.
So did that game sway you at all? Like you think is that the pick? Is that the number one overall pick in the draft right there?
I think they got to take a quarterback. So yeah, I think you have to take a quarterback.
You feel good about taking him at number one, or you take him because you need a quarterback?
I think both. I mean, that man endured being at Cal, so he's mentally tough. And then to go to Indiana and go undefeated, and he took some licks last night. I mean, they were you could tell the game plan was we're gonna knock this kid in the next week and see can he handle it. Yeah.
Real quick, what was the play where he got his lip busted up? Forgive me if I got this wrong, but didn't he wasn't it a read option?
I think it was I forget. Was that on the touchdown he ran?
No, it was like early in the first quarter.
I forget, but I know they showed his arm after the game. His arm was black and blue, and
he took some hits.
He took some hits. To me, nothing but respect for Fernando.
That play they were talking about, where he got his lip busted, Van Pelt, and I think the coach was like upset, like, "Hey, that's a late hit. You can't do that."
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, it was. He took a helmet right on the chin.
But he was you never.
Well, that
is him being a ball carrier.
Yeah, right.
So the same things don't.
Yeah, but I think the one he's talking about getting hit under the chin, he wasn't a ball carrier.
Okay.
There was one where he was in the pocket and got hit right under the chin, and then it was like, but that officiating crew is not going to win any awards. I mean, how many times can a corner just grab someone by the jersey and there's nothing?
Several.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting there going, I start going conspiracy. Like, are they trying to make sure Miami stays in this? I mean, what is going on? I mean, my man's running a post corner and his jersey's going the other way.
Yeah. I didn't like the Carson Beck roughing the passer on the final drive. I was like, wait a minute.
Really? You said you didn't like it?
No, it was a little late, but he hit him in the stomach.
Like 3 steps. I don't think
that was a penalty.
Hit.
I mean,
I don't think it was the hit. I think it was the timing of the hit.
And
I've seen worse not called.
Yeah, but I also think too what makes it worse is when you see so much not called, and then you want to start throwing it's like if people from Indiana were saying it feels like they're trying to help them, I would have understood. Hey, when you got a mentally tough Cal graduated quarterback, you don't break. You power through that.
Shout out to all Cal grads.
Yeah, it's the closest we'll get to a national championship in football right now. We got
they had a watch party going on in Berkeley
today. Isn't your boy staying though, the quarterback? Ain't he staying?
Yeah. So we rolling with him, but as for now, that's the closest we get, but we're glad Tosh is back in the fold. I think, this feels better. It feels like we got a chance, Like I said, we just had when your entire running back room transfers at once, there's a problem.
Damn, the hell.
Remember last year, the entire running back room, like all transferred within like a day and a half. I mean, you got a problem when you get 12 men in the huddle penalties out of timeouts. Yeah. I watched that Stanford game. I was like, oh my God, yeah, this is over. I'm like, yeah, this is just unacceptable. I'm like, out of a television timeout, how do you have 12 men in the huddle?
That's crazy.
And it happened more than once. So yeah, it was time to move on, but that was a nice cap to the sports weekend, good baseball news out there, good NFL news out there,
Settle
good
down.
weekend.
What is this guy talking about, man?
What about
What?
basketball news? Let's go
What
to
about
the NBA.
what did Cody say? What do we want to talk about? What do we talk about?
There we go. What we were just talking about. I had no idea the Royal Rumble was in Saudi Arabia in a week.
Oh, yeah,
we're way behind.
Yeah, there's no ethical things to be discussed about that at all.
Didn't know the champions, nothing. I
Not
didn't know
at
Jade
all.
had the belt.
But because they don't have her defended, they just put the belt on her and have her watch matches now.
That was a gift.
They're like,
for getting
look,
her head split open.
She looks like $1 million. She just can't wrestle. So just hand her the title and we'll figure everything else out later.
They're like, we owe you after letting Nia split your head open. That was crazy.
Also, Jade, you're not the first. Nia's jacked up a lot of people along the way.
Yeah.
Let's go to the NBA. There's a couple of different things to talk about. Let's start with your boy off the court, LeBron James. LeBron, your king.
My king.
Well, that's your king. Actually, that's your king.
My king is King. Yeah. My king is King Booker.
Fair enough. Pinky out. King Booker. That might have been Booker T's finest work. That was fantastic. That was so funny.
I got a lot of King.
Right? Is that who it was?
I can go with King T. I can go with a lot of different kings. So
Macho King.
Yeah. There's a lot of kings out there.
Well, if these people were acknowledging the king, then maybe they wouldn't have made this decision.
Well, we'll segue to Dr. King, as you wrote about LeBron's attempted tribute to Dr. King by having some Nike LeBron colorways out with the distinct aqua color that is associated with the Lorraine Motel where Dr. King was assassinated.
Wow.
Jason, take it from here.
I wrote.
You talked to LeBron about this.
I thought it was fake. I said, this is no one. I said, this is somebody trolling LeBron about the whole being LeBron. There's no way in the world someone made some Lorraine Motel shoes. Like there's no way. And then it just kept popping up on my timeline. And I'm like, oh my God, this is real. And then I thought he'd worn them already. Yeah. And it's like, I was just so confused to who okayed this? And what does his 51-point game in 2008 have to do with MLK?
Right.
It's also a tribute to him scoring 51 points against Memphis on MLK Day. I was like,
shout out to the brother who wrote that article. He had to work to find that nod.
And I'm sitting there going, we're making shoes honoring people got killed at. I'm like, there were so many different, if you wanted to honor Dr. King, so many different ways you could have gone. I want to know who was in the design room and said, you know what? I went and visited the museum. The color of the hotel was dope.
So there's maybe the one thing you can hang your hat on is it's now a civil rights museum. That's all I got. That's all I had. That was it. Yeah. There was no more to that.
That's why I was checking, New York Times even had an article where the museum was like, we didn't know they were doing this.
Jeez. We would have preferred they didn't.
It was like, I'm thinking to myself, maybe the workaround is that proceeds are going to go to the museum. The museum's like, ain't got nothing to do with this. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, this is what we're doing. I'm like, it just was a bad idea. I'm like, you talk about the whole idea of diversity and different trains of thought and other voices in the room. I'm like, there wasn't someone over the age of, 20 something to go, hey, I just think this is a good idea. People may not like that. Maybe we shouldn't highlight, if we're going to highlight anything from Dr. King, maybe we shouldn't highlight where he was shot.
it's somebody along, because when I saw it, once again, I was like, is this for real or not? Like, I wasn't sure how to respond to it. But immediately it was like, my thought was, if this is real, this is a terrible idea. Like, it didn't take any time to be like, this is a horrible idea. And the couple of things come into play here. One, everybody in the room, there wasn't one person that said maybe we shouldn't do this.
Right. Not a soul thought it was like, hey, no.
Like, this, I don't understand that. And then two, I'm interested on how LeBron and other athletes who have signature shoes receive these shoes. Like, does LeBron just receive from the Nike rep that, hey, Bron, we got these for you to wear today, this colorway, and be like, oh, okay, cool. And he had no idea that
LeBron probably doesn't. A signature shoe athlete might. Lifetime deal, branded athlete, LeBron James probably does. It probably doesn't work that way for him. That's a guess.
So if he didn't know, like, that's what he just saw a new colorway, put the shoe on. He didn't know this was what it was for, or what the in remembrance type stuff. Like, he didn't. Do you guys know if he possibly would have known any of that?
I don't know for certain, but I think once they throw equality on the back, and you know it's going to come out in Black History Month, and I find it hard to believe he had no clue at all what the deal was, because I'm sure someone explains why they're giving him that. Say for instance, he had no part in the design and the color. I'm pretty sure, because when they released these shoes, part of the marketing is, we're going to tell you the story behind the shoe. When they released the Miami shoe, it's like, well, we have this on here because of this from Miami. So there was a story attached with someone that had to be able to explain. And if you look at some of the early stuff about it, some of the early sneaker kind of like industry magazines were like, this is dope. This is the MLK shoe. Like, it wasn't like it was a secret that this was the honor of the Martin Luther King shoe. And I just, I don't know what level, but I think if LeBron knew and thought it was wrong and said, don't do this, it wouldn't have been done. I mean, he's LeBron.
Right.
They're not going to put it out and then be like, nah, that's okay, and make him mad. So who knows exactly what the deal was? Who knows? But there was definitely a failure of common sense on multiple levels, because the shoe should have, if you had just taken that shoe color and like made it, I don't know,
the Tiffany.
Something, and not attach it to Memphis.
Yeah.
No one, I don't think anyone would have cared. But the moment you jumped out with this is the Lorraine Motel shoe, I'm like, that's just like, man, like, you could have just made it. We wanted to make this color shoe. And I don't think there would have been honestly, I probably would have been like, that's not a bad color, But,
not at all.
Yeah, but when you attached, I'm like, man, I'm not wearing no Lorraine Motel shoes, man.
And that's where I'm trying to shoot LeBron a little bit, which I don't think he deserves. Like, I think everything you said, like, he knew the name of the shoe, what it was representing. I think he knew all that stuff and still went through with it. But I was thinking, like, hey, somebody comes to him before the game, Nike rep, hey, we made these for you tonight. Like, wear these tonight. And he might look, oh, Tiffany color. Okay, that's cool. Like, that's me being super generous and shooting him some bill. But I think he knew everything and went with it. And that's just
fail.
Yeah.
That's a decision level fail.
Yeah. That's the ultimate my bad. Like, I shouldn't have did that. And I'm not saying, I know I got some people who work over at Nike. I got a text today. Someone said, man, you really shot at us today. I'm like, well, it was a dumb idea.
Warranted. Yeah.
I was like, it was a dumb idea. It's not an indictment on anyone's, character personally. I'm not saying that LeBron's a terrible human being or anything. I'm just like, there had to be a better, I even wrote, there's different ways you could have honored the reason why King was in Memphis. You could have highlighted the workers' rights or something like that. If you just wanted to do a Memphis, you could have did a Gus's Chicken or a Beale Street or a barbecue shoe. I don't know.
Right.
But of all the things in Memphis to highlight that part tied to Dr. King, to me, I just thought it made me cringe. I was like, no, I don't need it. I don't need a pair of those in the collection.
Them Cooper Flag Grassy Knolls about to go crazy though.
Wow.
Them Cooper Flag Grassy Knolls about to go crazy.
No,
man. This thing's gonna be so hard.
The roof off threes. I mean, it's gonna be terrible.
Oh, crazy.
See what you guys have done.
Come on, man.
Tough, man.
I think some people in New Balance, I don't think anyone over there was like, what, Cooper, we got this great idea for a shoe. You play in Dallas.
Do a commercial over there. Are you crazy?
That would be crazy, man.
The school book depository in the background, like
wow.
Cooper looking up at it. Man.
Crazy custom shoebox.
Imagine if I had to run in 1962.
Oh my
That's
God.
terrible. Jason, come on, man. Stop. It's not. Stop.
Oh man.
Stop.
See, I blame not. See, they shouldn't have done this. See,
no, and Chris J says Cooper is the second shooter. You run a montage.
No, come on.
You run a
man.
montage.
No, I have no part. No.
Yes, hey. Who's
See,
the
because
second
when I was
shooter?
writing this,
Cooper
I
said
had
me.
about 10 or 12 very inappropriate, dark examples of shoes that should not be made, and I didn't even think about Cooper Flag.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Man,
them
see.
joints in Dallas.
Man, see, yeah.
I'm like Isaiah Thomas.
Let me find me a book to read or something. I ain't got nothing to do with this. Now I ain't got to have my inbox and everybody calling me. I don't need the athletic New York Times HR calling me about some inappropriate jokes.
Oh no, these are my jokes.
And
These are
I'm
my
sure LeBron has scored 50 on the Atlanta Hawks.
No, first of all,
it could have been the Ebenezer Church 21.
Let's be clear.
Like, we didn't have to go there.
I'm sure Cooper Flag turned this down. He's like, oh, come on, guys. We're not doing that. He was like, no, that's not okay. Man,
it just brought back to my memory one of my craziest shoe stories when I was covering the league. So I think I told y'all that story, the Stauskas story.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, it's story time. Let's have quick story time. The people involved have all moved on, but
there used to be a segment on Throne Room Breakdown.
Yeah,
on J3 Vibes.
Yeah, back in the day.
First time with Jason Jones.
Yeah.
So everybody remembers that.
Yeah, well, back in the day when Nick was a rookie, the team actually started the season in Memphis. Early in the season, they were in Memphis. And part of the team bonding was we're going to go to the Civil Rights Museum because you can literally walk from where the team everybody stays to the museum. It's not far. Mm-hmm. And Nick was one of the ones who decided he wasn't going to go. And the little birdie just let me know, hey, your boy. First off, he's not my boy. I don't know him. But, I'm like, so the white Canadian can't go to the Civil Rights Museum. Okay, cool. Good to know. Fast forward to February. It's Black History Month. Guess who's rocking the Black History Month Nikes?
All right, man.
So I hollered at a friend of mine on the team named Reggie Evans. And I'm like, yo, man, how you feel about this dude over here who couldn't go to the museum, but now here come February, he got the Black History joints on. He was like, thanks for reminding me of that. Nick never played in no Black History shoes.
Yeah, you're gonna have to answer to that.
I was like, I know it wasn't my team, but I'm like, oh hell no. You can't learn no Black History, but oh yeah, let me go hit. No, that's not what we do. That's not what we do. See, that's not what we do. It's not what we do.
Nick, I have removed, just like T.I. took the chain from Nunu in ATL, I have removed the term "go blue" anytime we talk about Nick Stauskas.
Yeah, Nick be on the X Twitter wilding.
Yeah, he ain't getting no go blue.
He be on that full, that red hat stuff hard. Pretending to be like a financial expert and whatnot.
People in Ann Arbor, boy.
I'm telling you, man. They be wild.
Ohio. Didn't we lose Ohio?
Oh, probably lost everything. What do you mean? Lost everything. Well, much like LeBron James, Nick Stauskas isn't going to be an All-Star game starter either.
That's
Wow. Wow.
What?
Wow. Okay.
It feels like this is the year the haters have been waiting for. Like the streaks are all ending. You know, LeBron is like a game away from a mandatory end to his All NBA streak. The 10 plus points per the 10 plus points for 1,000 some odd games ended. And now the Western Conference starters were announced, and LeBron James, who was well behind in the voting every time they released the updated rankings, will not start in an All-Star game for the first time. I think it's since 2004.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, all of the streaks are coming to an end this year for the King.
Yeah, man. And like you said, the haters are like celebrating. I'm like, the man's 41. He probably doesn't want to play anyway.
He's already defeated Father Time, so don't try that argument.
And I know we get a little round table at work about, well, you know, what should Silver do about LeBron if he gets voted on? I said, just ask him, do you want to play? Because I thought last year was crazy. You show up the day of, I ain't playing. I'm like, just ask him, do you not want to play? I think it would be cool. I think he'll definitely play when he knows he's going to retire. Like if he knows this is my last year, he'll definitely play in that one. Because he'll want that, you know, you'll get that celebratory moment and everything. This is his last All-Star game, but
Magic Mike.
but I'm not convinced this is his last year. You know, I think LeBron he still may want the week off. No, but the game's in LA, so maybe he decides to play. But I mean, I figure let's see if he actually makes the team first. You know, but I was surprised how far
in Inglewood. He don't want to track all the way to Inglewood.
You know,
LeBron trying out if he makes the team.
Yeah, let's just see, you know. But I was surprised in the voting how far behind he was. I was like, man, this is a different world now.
Yeah,
Luka came in and just was like took everything and jersey sale. You know, Luka got that Lakers stimulus package where, you know, not that he needed that boost in popularity, but shoot, went through the roof with it now.
Let me ask you, because Damian pointed out, you know, the All NBA is probably going to come to an end as well. Do you think they're going to do away with this 65 game thing coming up? Because this has been like the calamity of all calamities this particular season.
I don't think it's gone the way they thought it would. And I think part of the mistake in it was they did it to keep you off of all, you know, to kind of like make you play. But what if a guy legit is hurt? Like, that's not fair. Like, well, I missed 12 games when I was hurt. Then if I get, you know, if I get 2 games off, oh shoot, now I'm deciding, especially with incentive money and everything tied to all NBA teams, do I really want a guy going out there dragging his leg for like a 2 minutes to start a game to say that he played in enough games so he can possibly still make all NBA? I don't think and as we've seen, it's not making guys play more games. Guys aren't going, oh damn, I'm at 15. I guess I can't qualify for MVP pretty soon. And it's like, and I also don't think there was like a rash of voting of people voting for guys who played in 25 games. It wasn't like I ever voted and was like, you know what? Joel Embiid missed half the year. First place MVP. My general rule was if you qualified statistically to be a leader in the league in something, you should be eligible for the thing. And I don't, you know, I remember Embiid's rookie year. I didn't vote him rookie of the year, man, because he missed half the season. Yeah. And I don't think there was this rash of people just voting for people for the hell of it. And now you're going to have a real interesting all-NBA vote, because the last time I voted, I think was a couple of years ago, and the people who hadn't qualified, you know, they just weren't on the list. This is going to be a list with a lot of names missing. And then, to me, it then cheapens the idea of being all-NBA if a guy only made it because he played more games by like 2.
Right.
Like, what if Jokic played 61 games and I don't know, DeAndre Ayton played 65? no one thinks DeAndre Ayton is better than Jokic, but Jokic doesn't qualify.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Jay, we appreciate you. I have more shoe ideas if you want to.
Hey, just text them to me. Text them to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I'm all right.
Text them to me.
To you.
What's
Yeah,
one of
you
them?
know, I think I've written them
I
about.
mean, them poor theater joints would go crazy if you just got to.
Yo, whose man is this?
Man, and you know, I've written a lot about clutch in the last week or so. You know, so
Well,
I guess I'm not-
podcast Rich, what's his name?
Podcast Paul.
Podcast Paul.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
not
get your voice.
that's not uncomfortable at all.
Bro, what is your man doing?
That's not uncomfortable. You know, LeBron's agent proposing that Austin Reeves get traded. They play the Kings and lose by 30.
Crazy.
I swear to me, drops the podcast, they go out there and they get blasted. Whenever he goes in there and suggests a trade, they just get. I bet you everyone's going, shoot, LeBron don't want me. He don't want him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, if you want to stick, you better come friend with Luka. That's the guy whose team is going to be. You better go. But yeah, that is that. I mean, you know, and I've known Rich for a while, and I can tell you, Rich don't care what nobody say about what he got to do. Rich's attitude is probably this: y'all should be a little more thick-skinned. Why you care what I got to say? But I'm like, you can't be. You're an active agent proposing trades.
Yeah, here's the thing, Rich. It's not you. It's not like, unfortunately, like when you're so closely associated with somebody else, they don't see you. Unfortunately for Rich Paul, as an amazing job as he has done, is carving himself a place in sports as Rich Paul. It's still LeBron.
Yeah.
And when you talk LeBron, when you talk trades with LeBron's team, it's going to go viral. It's going to go crazy. It's going to get clipped up. You know, it's not, you know, then you see the thing the next day that Austin's agent had something to say to the next day. Like, hey.
Yeah.
And I guess I can't imagine it's good for that locker room at all. Because look at how that team played before LeBron came back. They played free. The ball moved. Guys looked happy. They look miserable half the time now.
Now Dad is back.
And LeBron looks miserable.
Jay, we appreciate you, man. Thank you as always. I'll text you some more ideas.
Yeah, text me some Kyle Tucker ideas while you're at it.
All right. That's enough. All right, Jason. We'll see you. That's our man Jason Jones right there. Cal's finest from The Athletic. I want to play Dylan Cardwell's press. Come on, man.
Let's go.
I was trying to find the Kings one because I know they posted it, but I'm having trouble finding it. Because it'll go from Dylan to Russ to Doug. I just wanted you to see Russ at the beginning of his when Dylan's done talking. He's rolling up the wired earbuds that used to come with your Apple phone.
Yeah.
He's rolling them up. And I'm like, is that like one? Do people still do that? Do
There's people who really
roll up the wired earpods?
Yeah, they still rock them. They still talk.
I convinced myself that Russ was like listening to an iPod Touch. He had an iPod Touch out there and was just cooking with it. Okay, so I couldn't find it, so I just went to old reliable Sean Cunningham in KCRA3. Here is Dylan Cardwell and what I think was his finest performance last night at the podium following the Sacramento Kings loss to the Toronto Raptors.
That third quarter, you guys kind of got away from you guys. Raptors shot 73% from the floor. They made 14 or 19 shots. What happened to the Kings defense in that third quarter?
Yeah, you know, first things first, I'll go to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. It was a tough third quarter. You know, it's a great team. They play fast. They get downhill. I mean, as soon as they make a three, as soon as they make a layup, I mean, in 4 seconds or less, they're down the court scoring again. So that's just on us, attention to detail and, you know, not letting our foot off the gas.
What did Coach Christie say to you guys after the game?
Yeah, that's on us. Like, the coverages didn't change. Nothing changed at halftime. We didn't make any adjustments on purpose because we were doing well in the first half. And for some odd reason, as a unit, we just didn't buy in and we didn't lock in on that third quarter. There's a couple of plays where we didn't know if we were in a zone or if we were in man. And again, that's on us.
You may have answered it there. In the first half, you guys kind of kept them from getting downhill. What did you see that was working maybe in that first half that wasn't there in that third quarter?
I think we're just doing a better job of supporting each other and making them, drive and kick rather than, I think the third quarter, a lot of ISO ball, a lot of one-on-one, and leaving your man on an island.
Dylan, some of your teammates, like Russ, for example, have said they encourage you to be yourself and play like yourself. But for you personally, I know the NBA, your rookie season can be a whirlwind. Is there anything specific that you've been just trying to focus on or emphasize doing on a game in, game out basis?
Yeah, man, just sticking to my routine. When I was in pre-draft workouts, I asked about Al Horford when I was in the Boston Celtics pre-draft, and they mentioned how much of a pro he was in his routine and how he just continued to rep out the things that he wanted to get better at each and every day. And that's how he went from a post player shooting only hook shots with the Hawks to, you see him not now, but when he was at the Celtics, expanding his game to the three-point line. And so I asked him how he did that. And just like I said, he just bought in his routine. He was very specific about going to bed at the right time and getting to the gym at the right time and being consistent and all that. It's a long season. And, it's easy to get off task. It's easy to get off of your routine. And so I try to make sure my routine is, dead straight. My wife holds me accountable each and every time. Like every time after a game, she takes my phone and makes sure I'm in bed at a good time. And so we're just being a professional. That's my New Year's resolution, is being a professional on and off the court and how I take care of my body and, how I approach the game.
Dylan, a career high 13 rebounds tonight. Are you figuring out that aspect of the game at the pro level, like adapting what you were at the college level to the pro game?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely took a lot of prayer to get to where I'm at. I want to, put it out there that I only averaged, 5 points. 5 rebounds a game in college. That was my highest. 5 points is 5 rebounds a game. And last year, other than that, I think it was like a career, 4 rebounds per game in college. And so my transition to the NBA, a lot of people question my rebounding. You're 6'10", you're 6'11", and you're a great offensive rebound, but defensively, what's the problem? And I think a lot of that was I was used to boxing out because the SEC, we got a lot of people like myself in there, and so I'm trying to keep them off the glass and then keep my off the glass. But here, there's only a handful of guys like Mitchell Robinson, Steven Adams, where guys you really, really have to make sure you're boxing out. But other than that, you can kind of hit and go get. And so me and my player development coach, Garris Adams, we just nailed really how can we become a better rebounder. If that's how I'm going to stay in this league, is being a rebounder and being an energy guy. And so that's something I look forward to each and every day. It's a rebounding ball. It's a gift.
Dylan, from the Bean Boys, every time you get in the game, you get a loud ovation from the crowd. Just kind of talk about how you're settling in, finding your role, finding your place here in the NBA in your rookie season.
Yeah, like I said, it's all glory to God. Outside of the will of God, I would not be here in the NBA. Like I say, you look on a stat sheet, I didn't wow people. In college, I averaged 5 points per game. I rebounded the ball 5 times per game. I averaged like 1.6 blocks per game. No one thought I was an NBA player, and I'm not supposed to be here, but God. And so every time I get on that court, it's just an opportunity to showcase, my God-given abilities and have fun with it and continue to be a joy. Because at the end of the day, like, I'm living my childhood dream. This is something I prayed about since I was, 5 or 6 years old. I remember watching, LeBron James and the Miami Heat and the 2012 and the 2012 and 2011 NBA Finals, and just telling my mom, like, I want to be there. I want to be not like LeBron, but I want to be in the NBA, and just to pray about that every single day, and to get that, it's just a dream come true. And I don't think I'll ever take this dream for granted, because at the end of the day, like I said, I'm not supposed to be here. And yeah, I put this jersey on every single day, and I have a blast doing it because this is something I've dreamed about since I was a kid. And so you'll see that childlike joy every time I step on that court, because like I said, this is a dream come true for me. And at any moment it can be taken away. But I just love playing basketball. I love accomplishing and living the dream and having fun. And, having Max and Neek and Precious out there with me, being the Bean Boys, like, you couldn't ask for a better group of guys. Coming into this process, you hear a lot about how the NBA is just, business is cutthroat. It's, your teammates are more individualized and they're worried about themselves. But, we might not be having a great season. This is the best locker room I've really been a part of outside of my last year at Auburn. Everybody from Russell Westbrook to Drew Eubanks wants to see you succeed. Drew got not bench, but Drew stopped playing as much, and he's the happiest guy on the bench. He still takes time to out of his day to come tell me, hey, you could have this better, you could have that better. And so everybody is a part of this team, whether we're successful or not, and no one is spiteful, no one is unprofessional, and I really appreciate being on this team, being in this locker room.
How can you not love that young man? That is just incredible stuff.
My dog right there.
From Dylan Cardwell right there.
I love Dylan.
Absolutely incredible stuff from him. He gave a 2-minute answer to Marcus's question. That's an undrafted rookie. A 24-year-old undrafted rookie gave a 2-minute answer to Marcus's question about his rookie year. Shout out to Marcus D. Smith, by the way. Glad he's around a lot more. That's incredible.
It really is.
It's just terrific.
And I know me personally, I didn't see it right away. I remember specifically watching him in summer league, one of the first couple games. And, obviously he's not going to look impressive offensively. That's not his game.
Yeah.
And, he was just so off on the offensive end, no real touch or anything like that. I said, I don't need to keep seeing this guy. Like, give me more max minutes. Like, Dylan, that's not it. And I was dead wrong. And when I saw him in the preseason, when I saw him get the opportunity in the opening game of the season, for me at least, you started to see, all right, there's something there. Like maybe give him some more time in Stockton. And I like his physicality. I like his effort, all this other stuff. But you just see him more and more, and you just love what he brings to the table. And it's super impressive what he's able to bring on the court. But that mindset that we saw right there in that podium interview, and those questions that were answered by him, the way they were answered by him, man, the guy seems like one heck of a teammate, and he's going to be around for a long time. He is going to be in the NBA for a long time because of how grounded he is, and he understands it. He gets it. There is no fluff with him. He doesn't think that he's better or he's been done wrong or anything else like that. Gives all glory to God, and he understands, I'm not a big scorer. I'm not a big rebounder, but I work. I work. And that was one of the more impressive answers I've seen all year in the NBA this year. That was great.
All right, Chris Biederman from the Sacramento Bee, kind enough to join us here. We'll shift our attention to the Sacramento Kings coming up here in just a minute, Chris, but we were talking about the San Francisco 49ers a moment ago. Christian McCaffrey, a finalist for multiple awards coming up this awards season. Kyle Shanahan is just as commonplace, a finalist for Coach of the Year. He's not going to win. He's never going to win. But I have that 2022 performance he did as the greatest job as a head coach I've ever seen, when he lost Trey, Jimmy, and then went to Brock Purdy. This year is really, really close to that for me.
Yeah, for sure. I think when it comes to the award, I think he's probably a victim of his own success in the past. Because just in general, if you're a casual observer, you look at the 49ers and say, well, they've been to a couple Super Bowls the last few years. Kyle Shanahan's one of the best coaches in the league. Like, it's not super surprising to see them in the playoffs. But you kind of have to peel the onion back a little bit and be like, wait, they got how many games from Mac Jones? And they were with what was their receiving core looking like? And what did their defense look like throughout the season? And then that's when you kind of see the case for like, wow, this was a really impressive coaching job. And to that end too, Robert Saleh now joining the Titans, there's going to be a lot of it's a big hire. There's a lot of pressure on the hire for defensive coordinator to replace Robert Saleh. So very curious to see who that's going to be. Gus Bradley sounds like the leader in the clubhouse. I'm not totally I'm not as certain as everybody else seems to be that that's going to be the hire, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with Raheem Morris. I know he's still in the mix for the Cardinals head coaching job. I'd be curious if he would want to join his pal Kyle Shanahan with the Niners if he doesn't get a head job. So, but yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think this is clearly Kyle Shanahan's best coaching job since coming to the Niners, and particularly given the injuries, because we've seen them have similar injury situations before in 2020 and last season. And obviously they were well below 500 in each of those years. And this year they went 12-5 and defeated the defending Super Bowl champs in a playoff game. So I think Kyle Shanahan deserves a ton of credit for how that went.
I got a question I want to ask you regarding the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan and coaching and all this other stuff. But did you guys, I'm pretty sure Chris saw it. Dame, did you see the throwback to when Kyle Shanahan, they're showing the pictures of when he was first the 49ers coach and compared to today? Oh my goodness. A completely different yes, the poor man has
Obama
just
leaving office.
Oh my goodness. It looks like two completely different people. And it's funny, I see like guys like Kyle Shanahan and other coaches, when they're coaching, even Barack Obama, when they're doing this stuff, they age like crazy. The second they get out of the coaching job or and go back to regular life, they're just vibrant and all this other stuff. I don't know if Kyle's
shirtless on the beach.
I don't know if Kyle's ever going to get that opportunity because he's still pretty young. But yeah, it's drastic seeing him from when he first hired to today.
I've seen a bunch of those posts, and I think they do Shanahan a little bit dirty with those because a lot of the after pictures are from the owners' meetings, and it's like the coaches' breakfast. And that coaches' breakfast is at 7 a.m. the morning after their big old party that they have. And the parties are, I've been to one of them, and they're pretty epic. It's open bar, it's media, and all the NFL power brokers in one place. And then they have this breakfast, and it never makes sense to anybody why this breakfast is immediately after the party at 7 a.m. So the after photo of Shanahan in that moment is like 7 a.m., big old bags under his eyes, obviously having a couple of his favorite beverages the night before. It's like, man, you got to find another photo for that. You're doing the guy dirty.
The before pictures don't even look real. These are hilarious. These are absolutely hilarious. Before you continue, I caught something on the stream. Did you roll your eyes when Chris said Gus Bradley?
Maybe a little bit. Look, I don't want to judge the guy too much, but he's not my first choice. He's not my first choice. I'd rather have Raheem Morris or Jim Schwartz.
Yeah, I think Jim Schwartz is another good one. Just sort of, you talk about wide nine and all that stuff. He's kind of one of the forefathers of that. So that would make sense to me too. Gus Bradley I think he's a good coordinator and he's a respected guy. And Kyle Shanahan talked a lot about what the value he had sort of from like an emotional and character perspective. He, told a lot of stories at team meetings this year, et cetera, et cetera. But the last 5 years of him as a defensive coordinator have been pretty uninspiring with the Colts and with the Raiders. And so I think he's probably a good guy to have in your building as a high level of assistant, but I'm not sure he's the guy that you tap to, coach up your roster that might not be as elite as it once was defensively. Right. And, like the 49ers, when they've been contending, they've had a top 5 defense. I'm not sure that Gus Bradley is getting that out of that group.
Right. The other thing I wanted to ask you about that is, do the Niners get a pick for Salah this year? Or is it next draft?
No, they won't get one because he was only with the team for a year. He needed to be with the Niners for 2 years before they'll get one. They might.
That's a bad.
They might get one. Josh Williams is interviewing with the Atlanta Falcons for their GM role, and they might get 1 or 2 if Josh gets that job. Which I've heard positive things about that. At least for Josh's perspective. So, we'll see. But there's a chance they might get some extra comp picks for that.
That's a bad rule. He was under contract.
Oh, Kenny just trying to sell off black coaches. Wow.
It's a wild rule. It's really wild.
Wow. I need my 5th round pick.
Oh,
that's where we do work.
That's right. Martin Luther Shanahan out there keeping the league's minority coaches alive. Shout out to him. Where do you stand, Chris? Chris Biederman of the Sacramento Bee with us. Where do you stand on electrical substations?
Oh man. I am very much not a scientist and I'm not a doctor, but I would say NFL agents and NFL players are probably not my main source for scientific knowledge. So I understand, the Washington Post, really the genesis of their story was the fact that NFL agents and players are talking about it. And I fully understand why they're talking about it. We're talking about it. The internet's talking about it. I don't, it sounds like most of the scientific community says, this isn't any different than, I know Kyle talked about it with you guys earlier in the handoff. Like, it's not any different than being around, your house with TVs and microwaves and stuff like that. Where I come down on like, what's the cause for the 49ers injury issues? I think they've played a ton of playoff games. They've played 13 or 14 playoff games since Kyle Shanahan's been head coach. That's almost an extra season. And they're doing this all while the new CBAs of 2017 and 2020 have been really restrictive in terms of the offseason work you can do. So I think guys now are bigger, faster, stronger, but they're also doing just less football stuff in the offseason. I think that's a factor. On top of the NFL expanding the schedule to 17 games, taking away bye weeks for number 2 seeds in the playoffs, adding more wild card games, and also doing crazy things with the schedule, like having games on Black Friday and more Thursday games, and everybody's playing international games. So I think it's like just football. I think it's unlucky. I think it's the lack of football in the offseason program. The fact that Kyle Shanahan's still trying to have a super physical training camp despite all of these things. Like, I think it's kind of just a confluence of all of that. And that to me is probably a better explainer for all the injuries with the 49ers than the substation. But again, I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to say that I know for sure. I just know that most scientists believe that it's not a real thing.
Clearly, this is not a real issue at all. But the jokes were hilarious that Christian McCaffrey and Kyle Juszczyk were at the Warriors game and Jimmy tore his ACL.
Oh, man.
They said they just rubbed off.
That's terrible.
Those guys are healthy. Those guys are healthy.
They just
being in the presence of 49ers.
Yeah, they're radiating. They're radiating from the electrical substation, and it got Jimmy. Could have gotten Buddy. Instead, it got Jimmy. Damn.
It wasn't going to get
That's
Kuminga.
cold.
He's not in the game.
No.
That's
yeah, play to get hurt.
I thought this was I only thought about this as we were having the conversation, but I thought it's kind of a interesting, and your response, Damien's response to what I was asking was interesting. Say they do the study. They are going to do the study. Scientists come back and they're like, it's not really like that big of an issue. I would say at best, it's a 15% chance that it affects these players. What percentage is too much for you? What percentage are you comfortable with? If they said it was a 5% chance, are you still like, nah, that's not good enough?
In terms of like, what's the threshold to like, you got to move your practice fields?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I would be very surprised if they're going to do that. Like, there would have to be, to me, overwhelming evidence that like, yeah, this is what happened. Like they would have to be like, well, we tracked George Kittle and George Kittle was over on this side of the field for this many minutes and doing this many reps. And he was within this distance of the substation and popped his Achilles. Like, and there's a correlation between another guy who got hurt, who, was using the same, I don't know. I think it's a super high threshold. It's like, it's very much like, I don't know, not like innocent, and like you to be guilty, you got to come up with overwhelming evidence sometimes, right?
Beyond
I just don't.
doubt.
Beyond reasonable doubt. I don't know that that's going to happen. Like, I don't know that there's going to be anything that makes Jed York be like, all right, well, we're going to build a new $30 million practice facility somewhere else in the Bay Area. Like, I just don't really. I guess there's a scenario. There are soccer fields. There are public soccer fields right next to the Niners practice fields. That I know there's been kind of contentious relationship, and it's been a contentious topic between the Niners and the city of Santa Clara with those soccer fields in particular, because I think the 49ers have wanted those to like build parking lots or whatever. Maybe they move them there.
Games.
They
have soccer games during the Niners
right.
games.
Yeah. So maybe there's some deal to be done that moves the practice fields over to where those soccer fields are, which is another, I don't know, 200 or 300 yards away from the substation. I don't know.
Kids, you move closer to the radiating substation.
You know what's ironic about it too?
Can't be anything worse than what's in your food, so you'll be fine.
The ironic thing about this, Chris, and you can tell me if I'm like wrong about this, is nobody ever gets hurt at practice. Nobody for the 49ers ever really gets like these injuries that happen usually happen in the games. They don't really happen at practice.
But they have a lot of hamstrings, a lot of calves during training camp. Like a bunch of guys have missed time during training camp. But again, like I don't know what the data says regarding training camp injuries for Kyle Shanahan. I do know just anecdotally that Kyle Shanahan tends to have one of the more physical training camps. So I wonder if, like, again, with the offseason stuff, there being fewer, there's no padded practice in the offseason. So with there being just fewer football related activities in the offseason and then going into training camp, which, you know, Kyle Shanahan has a very physical training camp. I wonder if just transitioning from no football from like the regular season to late July when camp starts, I wonder if that factors into it for the 49ers. That to me makes the most sense. But again, I don't know. It's a crazy thing.
Chris Biederman of the Sacramento Bee with us here on DLo KC on Sacramento Sports Leader. Chris, we'll shift our attention to the Sacramento Kings. How much do you love Dylan Cardwell? Because we're looking for something exciting to talk about, and Dylan Cardwell is as good as it gets. How much do you love that kid?
Man, I was listening to the Insiders and you guys today, and I texted Kyle this, and I said, man, it's kind of emblematic of where the Kings are as a franchise when Dylan Cardwell becomes this much of a positive development. Like, I think it's great for the Kings. Like, I think Dylan Cardwell playing with personality, playing with buy-in, and like actually, you know, protecting the rim in a way that like the Kings haven't had a traditional rim protector in years and years. And they've that to me has been sort of the biggest, I don't know if indictment is the word, but the biggest thing lacking in Domantas Sabonis's game. It's just like it's hard to play defense at any sort of it's hard to have a playoff level competitive defense when you just don't have rim protection, and the Kings haven't had it. Even the Beam team, right? They just lack that type of rim protection, and now we have it, and it's like, whoa, where's this? Where does this come from? Guys blocking shots at the rim with like weak side defense. Like it's certainly a positive for sure. He fouls too much. Like he's fouling almost 4 times a game and 20 minutes a night. So, you know, he's going to have to cut back on that, but I think he's exactly what they need in terms of, you know, a backup big who maybe develops into a starting big who can protect the rim a little bit and finish. And obviously he's got a big personality, and personality, I think, is something this iteration of the Kings could really use, particularly as they're going through the season they're going through.
I love Dylan. Actually, I love Dylan.
Yes, you do.
He's everything that this team has needed. Well, he's a lot of the things that this team has needed over the last couple of years. You know, a guy that is physical at the point of attack when you talk about his defense and around the rim, things like that. A lob threat. They haven't really had that in a while since, I mean, the failed attempt at JaVale McGee and all that other stuff. But his energy, and I mean that physically and just his presence, is something that, Chris, I think can carry him to a decade-long NBA experience. Like, what he does is transferable to any team in any situation. You know, he could be on a bad team like the Kings and, you know, be able to do that. You could see him on, I'll just throw a team out there. If he was on Boston, they would love him in Boston. He would be a big factor in them being a good team right now. And it's something that if he continues this mentality in the way that he plays, he can be in the league 10, 12 years just off this alone.
Yeah, for sure. Like every team could use a Mitchell Robinson, like that type of guy, right? Like somebody, even if he's not your starting center, if you just have a big that you can match up with Isaiah Hartenstein and match up with Mitchell Robinson and, you know, the guys the Rockets have, Steven Adams, like you just, that having a big physical guy is never a bad thing. So that I think ultimately is going to help the Kings long term. I guess where my question would be, like, is he going to develop into a starting center? Is he going to be somebody that you sort of not build the team around, but is he going to be sort of a building block going forward that you could, okay, we have our rim protector, now we can at least play this level of defense? Or, you know, I think it's interesting that the skill sets between him and Max Reynaud definitely complement each other. Like Max is more skilled finisher, float game, etc. And Cardwell is just the big sort of unrefined rim protector, rim runner type guy. And I think they complement each other well from that standpoint. So yeah, long term, I'm with you. Like, there's always a place for rim protection and size in the NBA, and you know, a lot of the good teams in the league have that. They have, whether it's their starting center or backup center, at least they can go to that guy in certain matchups. And if the Kings have, you know, bad perimeter defense, which they've had for years and years, they could at least put Cardwell in there and say, all right, you're not going to get to the rim as easy as you have. You're going to have to do a little bit more after you break down the perimeter defense. And ultimately, that's a good thing for the Kings.
Sometimes you just need a player for vibes.
There's that.
And Dylan does some things well, and this team needs good vibes, and Dylan Cardwell supplies them.
Yeah.
I think him and Russell Westbrook, and now that Malik is back in the lineup, what do you make of the Malik Monk thing? Like, he was kind of out of the lineup. It felt like something was going on there. Dennis Schroeder gets suspended for 3 games. He comes back, and we've seen what feels like a different Malik Monk since that suspension for Dennis.
And that's one thing, like, I understand Doug Christie's not in a great spot because this isn't a great roster, and you know, the situation is what it is. But there hasn't been any real stability in terms of like what the rotation is, like when guys are coming in, who's finishing games, you know, who's like, is Keon playing, is Malik playing, is Dennis playing? Like, Dennis is always going to play, but it just seems like, is Neat going to play? There's just always sort of this like moving target in terms of what the rotations are. And, you know, the guys talk about it now and again, like, there's so many different lineups. There have been so many different starting lineups. And yeah, some of that's for sure due to injury, but it feels like Russ and DeMar are really the only guys that have solidified roles that know kind of where their minutes are coming. And, you know, the Kings are obviously, this is not the long-term roster. Like, Doug's still trying to figure it out. But I think one of the reasons why they haven't played all that well is because there isn't really any consistency in terms of what these guys' roles are. And I think the Malik thing plays to that a little bit. The fact that, you know, Malik can go from being out of the rotation altogether to one of the team's most important players in a matter of like a week. Right. Like, to me, like, I don't, you know, I think at some point, and maybe it'll happen here in the second half of the season and after the All-Star break, where guys' roles start to get solidified. But it just kind of feels like nobody really has a solidified role. And I don't know if that's, you know, I'm sure that there's an element of that being a chicken or egg thing. Like, is it Doug's fault? Is it the player's fault? It's probably a combination of both. But for now, just the Kings' rotation just seems kind of jumbled, and it's night to night. And I think that lack of consistency ultimately is affecting the product on the court.
I want to go to Domantas Sabonis. Him not starting.
It's more than Doug has said lately. Go ahead.
Him not starting. Him being on a de facto minutes restriction. I understand what Doug said. It's a minutes restriction. That's what I'm going to go label it as.
Mm-hmm.
But the comment that we talked about earlier, when he was asked about, you know, when is he going to start playing more minutes again, and he says, well, there's 2 guys ahead of him right now, talking about Dylan and Max. What do you make of the energy around Domantas Sabonis and the Kings right now? Is it just, hey, he's coming back from an injury and it's business as normal, this is how you treat somebody coming back from an injury? Or is there something more going on, in your opinion?
I think there's something more going on. I'm sure you guys have heard the rumors that it's, you know, their people thought that there might have been a Domantas Sabonis deal done within the last couple of weeks. I haven't verified that, but I have heard that rumor. I It's weird, man, because and that's sort of one of the other things that's clunky about this Knicks season or this King season is that they're clearly trying to trade guys, but there also isn't really any showcasing going on. Like, that it's happening with Domas. It's and it not that Domas has fit really with this roster at all. Like the numbers even before he got hurt with Domas were pretty bad, just in terms of net rating and all of those things, and even just the eye test, just like what the offense was. There isn't like DeMar's not a dribble handoff guy, Zach's not a dribble handoff guy. Like, so you have Domas like taking a lot of oxygen on offense with guys who aren't really good at moving without the ball, and they need the ball in their hands. And then where does that leave Domas? Like that whole thing has been a little bit awkward. So I mean, I would guess that there's probably some weirdness in the fact that Domas is still on this team and the Kings would love to get off of his contract. And it's probably not just a Domas thing. I think it's probably very clear with Zach and to a certain extent DeMar that like, yeah, if the Kings had their druthers, they'd be able to move these guys, but there just isn't much market for them. And Doug clearly wants to play the young centers. And at the same time, it's like, are you hurting Domas's trade value by not playing him? I don't know. I mean, Domas is probably also a known commodity. I don't think anybody trading for Domas is going to be like, well, the last week he hasn't played all that much. What's going on? It's like, it's probably just sort of a situational thing. But yeah, I think we're probably nearing the end of the Domantas Sabonis road, if I were to guess. And whether that's before the trade deadline or this upcoming offseason. And I don't think Domas would be too terribly upset if he got a fresh start on, elsewhere with a team that has a better shot at contending in the near term.
Okay, real quick. It all feels a little strange. The Domas, the Kings situation.
Mm-hmm.
You were at the game. I was at the game too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Domas is working out.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was like on the mend. I thought he was out for another weekend. He's out here.
We had gotten no progression update on Domas at all.
All of a sudden, he's working out in the big court, not even in the practice
in front
facility,
of people. Yeah,
in the big court. Plays a couple of days later, and I don't know. It does feel a little strange.
Yeah.
It does feel a little strange around Domas right now.
Yeah, and like the injury stuff, it makes sense for him not to play in a back-to-back like that. That's. I try not to read too much into that. I heard, people mentioning like, oh, it's showcase game against Toronto because Toronto's reportedly been interested. It's like, I don't know that stuff is real. And then of course, Domas doesn't play. So it's, I just think it's emblematic of the Kings season. Like all of this has been uncomfortable for a while because the Kings obviously want to move on from some of these guys, and these guys are still here and still sticking it out.
Chris, great stuff as always. We appreciate you, my friend. Give the missus a big shout out for me. She did a story on the Black Youth Leadership Project recently. I've been a board member of that group for the last 4 years. So,
awesome. I'll tell her that.
Yeah, definitely. We appreciate you, Chris. Thank you, my friend.
Appreciate you guys. We'll talk soon.
Go Blue.
That's our man. Okay. All right. You don't have to take that, Chris. You don't have to take that. I'll deal with it. We'll deal with the matters internally. Thanks, Chris.
See you guys.
Chris Friedemann and the Sacramento Bee right there. Unprovoked attack. Kenny Caraway to close. Actual alum of the Ohio. Back here on the Knockout Punch with Eddie Gonzalez and Kenny Caraway. All of the boxing talk that you need.
That's right, baby.
Eddie, what up, baby?
Man, what's up? We try to sneak it in where we can. I know when you get in here, we about to, I had a lot of 49ers talk. And speaking of getting beat up in the middle of the ring.
Man, is this, man? Nobody, we don't
I see you ain't got no jersey on today. I see you just like regular.
United Friday is over until September.
Is them Cartiers, them Duchesnes? I know, man.
Oh, man.
Come on, man.
Stop spec watching out here. Stop spec watching.
I stay out the way. I just know you put the Cartier on, so like I don't know if you on the same trip. You just a regular. They know you. You want to,
I love.
He told a story. They give him champagne when he goes in.
They do. They don't do that at the Louis store.
They do not.
I wouldn't know.
I've been to the one in New York. They do not do that.
They gave me it was water actually. It was really fine water. The one in Union Square, the Louis store.
Really?
Yeah, and I think they gave.
There's probably too many damn people in New York. You have a time limit in New York. You walk in there, you got. Is there a direction you want to go? Look at the men's stuff. Okay, fourth floor. If you need help, let us know. You got about 15 minutes unless you're buying something.
Crazy. 4-4 place. I ain't been to the one in New York.
That one got a cafe.
Man.
That one got a cafe you have to get a reservation for.
Yeah, that's a little
crazy.
I've never been
they offered champagne at the one in Union Square though.
I never went to buy a t-shirt nowhere and got a champagne flute. That's y'all. You guys fancy, boy.
Oh, not me. They ain't give me nothing. They gave me a time limit. They say you got 15 minutes. Get your ass out of here.
Cartier take care of you.
Kenny almost made me cuss on air. I was like, man, I ain't never in my life.
But no. So Eddie, you can jump into this conversation, and you're like against narratives too, right? So this might be right up your alley. So I went back and I watched the Kings Heat game in the first minutes of the third quarter, and like the whole thought is like Doug saw Zach LaVine not playing defense, and he said, "No, we're not doing that," and got him out of the game. That's not what happened. Zach LaVine was perfectly fine. Didn't give up no points, no drives, was on every help side. That's not what happened at all. I don't know why he took him out. Matter of fact, when he went out, if you remember this, the last play was when Zach got fouled, scored, but they didn't call the foul. Doug gets a technical.
Right. So I'm going to help you out a little bit because you I think that game was a little bit different for you because you weren't here the next day. That narrative wasn't created. It came from Doug. Doug did not say, to be clear, Doug did not say Zach LaVine wasn't playing defense. He didn't say nothing. He was using the line. That's why I was using the term standard. That's what Doug said in the post game. He was like, we have again, he didn't even say Zach's not playing to my standard. He said, we have a standard we want to play. And if guys aren't playing that standard, I'm not going to play him. Yeah, that's what he said in reference to a Zach LaVine or minutes question.
And that might be something within the locker room and between them that they know that the naked eye can't see. But I just watched this whole 5 minutes. He did nothing wrong. Like, he did nothing wrong. I was looking for, all right, maybe he didn't help here, or maybe somebody got an offensive rebound. Anybody go watch it. He didn't do anything in that 5 minutes wrong defensively. So, but the thought process, like I said, obviously, is he got benched for I don't know why he didn't play the rest of the second half. Because
well, he played 2 minutes and 13 seconds.
You're right. Actually, it's as on my screen, it's 2:42. He's about to come in real soon.
Oh, I think the clock's going to tick down to 2:13. Like that 2:13 is ticking.
Hey, there he is at the scores
head.
table. There he is. I see him.
Man, the Zach LaVine convo here and Eddie is pretty wild.
Well, he's one of those players who's like, he needs the ball a lot, and like he gets paid like a star. So every night he's not a star. Yeah, he's the target. He's an easy target to have every single night, and he's just not as consistent a player as he needs to be to not hear that. You know, you got this incident with Sia guy yelling at him, and like, yeah, he's just become the dude. And like, you know, I think when you get that contract, there is that level of expectation, and when we trade a guy for you, there is that level of expectation. So I think it's all fair game. Now, why Doug has mentioned him and you know, maybe lightly questioning his defense, beyond me. Like, there's plenty of issues on this team for that to be the one you call out. But his level of expectation, he's smack in the middle of his prime, and they paid him a big contract to be the best player on the team. And now he's on the second team of that contract. He's going to probably see a third team of that contract. That's what he has to live with now.
I said a while ago, like, he just got to go. Like, because it's never going to happen. He's never going to get grace or respect here, at least from the fan base, right? Like, from radio shows, media, the fan base. He's never going to – it's just not going to happen for him because he's always going to be tied to the De'Aaron Fox situation. Not even less than a trade. Just the way everything fell down is always going to be tied to Zach LaVine. So he's never going to get a fair shake here. He just needs to go.
Yeah, at least if you get one of the younger guys in that deal, if you get Devin Vassell or whatever, what doesn't seem like was available, there's some grace of like, you're 22. You get the Cam Newton meme next year, but you don't get it now. But we get you as this win now guy, and we put you on this team, and you get every opportunity we can give you. Yeah, that grace is gone almost as soon as you got here.
He didn't make the trade.
Right.
No.
He didn't execute the trade.
Remember that press conference where we're like, I like Zach LaVine, boy. Listen to that, boy. It's okay. Idiots.
And now you're in a situation where, his value around the league is next to nil. So you're not getting much back on the way out either if you do make this trade and find somebody to take a suitor for him. And so it's just like, it's no winning at this point.
I have a question that I have been dying to ask. And I was waiting until Eddie got here to ask. Is Joel Embiid back? Come on, man. Is Joe back?
Who's like your least favorite player to watch in the league?
Luka's up there. Oh yeah. I don't enjoy
Luka's Luka's perfect answer for what I'm about to say. I hate watching Joel Embiid play. He can't move. He's crying all game. And to be the biggest guy in the league, and to just, if I see your hand, I'm diving under it like I'm a linebacker. And he does it all night. Like it's tough to watch that dude play. Did he hoop yesterday? Yep, got a triple-double, made some big plays. Like, congrats, salute to him. He outplayed.
He's averaging 28 points per game in his last 15.
Sheesh.
I don't want to watch him. I don't like.
Right.
I think the Rockets play them one more time. I'm gonna skip it. I'm good.
Damn.
I just hate watching him play. Like, Kenny, if we were in the gym and you put a hand on my hip and I said, "Oh," like y'all probably kick me out the gym. Like, no, we're not checking that ball up top. But I gotta watch this dude do it, and it like he got fouled with his back to the basket, and like somebody put his hand like on his elbow, and the way he flipped his whole body and immediately threw the ball, I said, "All right, I'm out. You win. If it's this much for you, you win, buddy." And they won. But is he back? I mean, sure. I feel like him and Tyrese Maxey are getting. They have chemistry, and they're figuring out a correct pace to play in. They had a great crunch time last night, and obviously a great overtime. Is he MVP Joel? I don't know. I mean, he was jogging up and down the court all day yesterday, and there's only so much he can do. There's only so much he's willing to do. But he's productive. He's somebody that'll be a problem in the playoffs. He's somebody who's been good in the playoffs his whole career. You're looking at that conference. I don't know what team can do anything about a really good Joel Embiid. Is he swinging a series? Maybe against the right team. It's like the Magic with no centers or whomever, but I don't know that team is there yet. I don't know Joel is ever going to be back to MVP Joel. But, yeah, they got a good win over the Rockets as they should have won in regulation. I don't even want to say it, but Kevin blocked a shot that was off the glass. They didn't get it. Ball didn't lie. In overtime, they ended up winning the game. And they've looked better this year. I mean, Tyrese Maxey's a superstar. He's one of the best ball handlers in the league. It's just bar none. And he shows it every night. He's got to be the fastest player in the league. When it came time for them to score late in that game, it was like, all right, Joel, you come up here and screen, and I'm going to race all of them to the rim over and over and over. And Alperen Sengun obviously could not keep up with him. And then when they finally dropped aggressively enough to like, okay, you don't get to just run to the rim, quick little punch dribble, jump shot, we're good. He should have won in regulation doing the same thing, sprinting to the rim against Amen Thompson. He's incredible to watch. He's the complete flip side of Joel Embiid for me. Like, I would watch Tyrese Maxey play all day if I could.
Quick follow-up that doesn't have to be like super elaborated on. SGA falls into this conversation, right?
Of being tough to watch? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I was about to say he's talking about the Tyrese Maxey fun to watch. No way.
No,
It's tough to watch. It's tough to watch that
SGA
team in
really
general. I mean, you got Lou Dort out there, you got Alex Caruso, you got these guys playing football. It's tough to watch. I'm not trying to be like complaints about the refs guy, but yeah, they're a tough mob to watch. But again, they're successful and they make it work. And on the right night, SGA is like getting to his stuff, hitting his jumper, not doing the diving under guys as much. Super fun to watch. But that's 1 out of 4. So yeah.
The Joel Embiid, you know, people don't seem to be as upset as maybe Eddie with, you know, some of the things he does, but he got a lot of heat for playing with no socks. Did you catch that a couple weeks ago?
Oh yeah.
People were upset.
Yeah.
Even Stack Jack was like, no, he's just this the problem with basketball. These kids ain't serious.
Joel's thirsty.
And Ashley,
that is nasty. I like what's the dude named Ashton Hall? Like he kept making a video and he was slipping to the loafers. I don't think no shoes are meant to not have socks. That's just me.
Oh man, don't do that, man. Put
something on your feet, my boy. If you want to go no show look, that's cool. They're gonna call you a boomer because apparently you're not allowed to do that no more. But that's all right. But you gotta have something on your feet before you get it.
Wait, word? No shows aren't a thing?
Well, no show in the low crew. It was a whole
hooping. Oh,
in everyday life,
hooping, that's real nasty. No show socks to hooping is sick.
Nah, I ain't done no show in a couple decades.
Show off them Nike Elite socks, my boy.
That's kind of what changed the game. When them Nike Elite first hit, like in 2008. Oh man, that was really
Kenny. You was one of them 2 sock guys. You was
I
like
still
double up.
I am. Except now I'm old and the joints, they don't respond the same way. So I got the insoles.
Way back when I got insoles. Shout out to Move Insoles. I got them for the plantar fasciitis. Shout out to them.
I got the daily joints. I got the game day and the daily joints.
Oh yeah, I got both. Trust me. When I was a young pup back in my day, I played soccer too, so I had long socks. Every once in a while I pull them out when we was hooping. You do like the knee highs, but like
long shorts too.
I was a short dude though, so there's only so much I could do with that. Only so much Bobby Jackson happening over here, you know. But it was an option. Like if I felt it, it was an option.
To your Joel,
24 to 35-year-old demographic just died. These old heads out
there.
My
They're orthopedics.
I love when dudes our age tell their old hoop war stories, and like some of them be in high school, which is 100 years ago, and then some of them be like, "Man, this one time at 24, man, boy, this one time I was at McClatchy Park and I could not miss all day, boy."
My son told me that the 3/4 compression is unk status.
Oh yeah.
He said you were at the game. He's like, look at everybody out there wearing it. It's Westbrook, DeRozan. He said the noodles, you either do the one pant leg or you do the short compressions with one sock up. I said, bro,
I got an idea.
Too much,
tell your son to shut the hell up. How about you tell Reese to shut the hell up?
I'm not sexist or whatever the word is for this. I'm not about to say nothing crazy, I swear. But we got to lead the one leg to the ladies. Let Asia get her stuff off. Yeah. Let Angel get her stuff.
One leg.
Let that for the ladies. Unless there's a medical reason why, like your right calf is tighter than your left. You let the ladies do that.
Reason why your leg can't be compressed.
or you have one leg that needs to be compressed and your other leg is cool. You know, like let's leave that to the.
I reckon the one leg. I got a couple of the one leg joints.
Yo, the TikTok hoopers and YouTube hoopers that like literally look like they walked out of 2K out the park, like they got backpacks on and like.
Oh man!
Oh, that's how my son be trying to dress sometime to go hoop. I'm like, hey man, take them sweats off in your Real Madrid jersey and put on something real.
Like white tee. Just throw the Hanes tee on and go get the buckets. Like, come on,
damn Ronaldo jersey about to go hoop. I said, this is not 2K. What are you doing?
Hey, we old as hell. One of my homeboys, Tim.
Old as hell, nothing. Hey, take that jersey off if you're going to play basketball. Dummy, that ain't nothing to do with age. Like, you look ridiculous.
One of my homeboys, he used to hoop in a fit. He was bald earlier than a lot of us. And we used to clown him like, bro, you can't be hooping in a fitted. Like, that's like a very specific hoop style. Like, I don't know if you should be doing this. And he's from LA, so it was like, oh, this is some LA stuff. Man, they be hooping in beanies, fitteds. They be hooping in everything now. Cowboy hats. Like, these boys are crazy.
Dennis practice in a beanie, don't he?
Yeah.
I work out in a beanie, so I can't hate on the beanie. The beanie kind of cold.
Well, working out, that's nothing. And you look like you work out with one of them trainers who like, yeah, we ain't gonna turn the heater on in here. It's gonna be 35 degrees in this facility. You want to get warm. You want to get warm, Eddie. Move.
I told him the other day. He told, yeah, man, it's 35. So we go outside and run. I said, man, if you don't get on the treadmill, 35 degrees, we ain't running outside.
Hey, y'all know Kenny got like 800,000 followers, so he don't always interact. So I seen that DM pop up. I said, what's this about? And he was like, yo, what are you doing outside?
And he said it like it was a holiday. He's like, man, it's above 35. Let's go.
I was ready. I had to.
Man,
Grammy's about to be the coldest week ever this weekend, so I ain't no choice.
Yeah, I'm California when it comes to the winter.
Hey,
I'm a California kid.
But look, you
man.
can't see. Look at it out. It's crazy out here, Eddie. It's been foggy
Yeah.
for like 2 weeks now.
Oh, trust and believe, because I think I'm coming to California in February for All-Star. So trust and believe, if I'm in town, it's gonna rain. So I'm gonna bring the like y'all don't get too comfortable because I'm gonna bring the clouds.
All right, man. We cool off the rain right now.
You think it stays quiet the next 2 weeks in the NBA?
No, I think we're gonna go right up to that last week, but there's some guys that kind of just gotta go. There's some guys that kind of just, everybody can posture now because they got time and they say, oh, we want the deals to be better, but at some time they get close. I think the Kings will be movers and shakers. The Kings have historically been movers, period, anyway. So, but I think they will just because, like, they need to. They need to get off some of these deals, some of these contracts. There's some guys that some of the league wants and looks around at, and they got to do something. They can't just stand still for the next year. And I think it's the same for Memphis. I think it's the same for Miami. And I think we're reaching, I think the rubber is at the road, with Giannis. We're just waiting for the call. You know what I mean? We're just waiting for the Shams tweet. But something has to happen there now, obviously. Like, they just look worse by the night. And his quotes are getting worse by the night, too. Like, it's so obvious what's going on. Like, y'all try to stick together for the kids. Even the kids are sticking it's time. They want to have 2 Christmases, trust me.
So we were talking about this Giannis thing, and I heard a perspective that I hadn't thought of the timing not being right for a Giannis trade, meaning like the deadline, because the nature of the NFL right now, you're not gonna get what you would think for a Giannis right now. Like, you're not getting the 3 picks, 2 pick swaps, a young player, and doing that. Like, in the next 2 weeks, I don't think that's happening. And the thought was maybe the Bucks are looking at being buyers and giving one more chance because the upside of being good and making the playoffs is greater than the trade market for Giannis at this moment. If you're going to trade him, maybe you need some guys to fail in the postseason, and that'll boost that market back up. So, like I said, if a OKC can't beat San Antonio and they're like, man, it's our window right now. Like, we got to go get Giannis. Let's go get these 3 picks. But that's not going to happen till the summer, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very similar situation with KD's market last year. I mean, a lot of the same teams remained involved, but, the Knicks kind of wanted to see how the run went. And then even into the playoffs, it's like, if they lose early, they might be aggressive. And then they go conference finals. And it's like, they kind of like where they're at. And same thing for the Wolves. If the Wolves had lost earlier, maybe we're more aggressive, and they didn't, and on and on. I just think they're hamstrung by the teams he would want to go to and what they have, and the amount of picks that are just out there because the Thunder and the Nets and the Jazz are just cobbling up all the picks that they can. I think it's interesting that the Lakers have a few picks, and maybe they don't have enough Giannis picks, but if they want to move around, if some of these other teams want to move around, again, you get another 2 weeks of losing and pressure building up. That's the same thing as well. We get to February 2nd, and it's like, yo, we're on these standings are looking tougher by the night. We got to do something. I think it's the same for the Bucks. Like, this is irreconcilable. One of the things somebody in the league mentioned to me is like they kind of can't even fire Doc because then they gotta just promote Darvin Ham, and it's like rocking a hard place with that one. And Doc is clearly sick of everything going on over there. Very little means to improve that roster as it is. You're passing around the Bobby Portis, Kyle Kuzma platter, and nobody's grabbing that at the dinner. Like nobody's at the cocktail party. Like, yeah, give me one of those. So they're kind of stuck in that sense. I just think at some point they reached a point of no return, and they probably already reached it. But I'm with you in that the deals aren't going to be great. I think if they already were great, they would have traded them. So I understand their hesitance, but what are they holding on to at this point?
Yeah. Seems like the difficulty for moving any of these guys is very high, especially given the offseason we just had. No one's, we talk about Toronto a lot. We talked about Toronto together like the last couple of weeks, how it seems like Toronto really wants to do something. But when you look at those contracts that they have, nobody wants that. It's not an indictment of Emmanuel Quickly or any of those guys. It's just like, 35 a year for the next 3 years. Nobody wants to do that.
Mm. And it's the math of the contracts too. I got this running joke, one of my group chats. Every time the Rockets lose or another team, it's like, all right, what are their contracts to get this guy? Whomever it is, one of those big contracts. And some teams are just set up with funny contracts that don't add up to any of that. Like we can't even match the dollars it would take to get there because of the contracts we're stuck with and the restrictions we have and the apron that we're in. So the trades have just gotten more complicated with this, and that's why we've talked for a while now. The offseason makes it a little easier because then you can unload guys. You don't have to field guys for the next night, so you can trade 5-6 guys. Contracts can lapse and things of that nature. You can open up space in ways you can't right now. Right now, everybody's rigid in what they have. In order to open up space, I got to give somebody away to Utah. I got to give somebody away to Portland. I got to do something like that. And probably send a pick too. So like it's taxing me more and more and more to even open up that space. Whereas in the offseason, it's a little easier. We can take our time. We can set up these trades and make more sense. And that happened with Phoenix and Houston as well, where they finally got to the contracts that made sense. And then Kevin was a free agent to be, so they were able to negotiate what he had to do and on and on and on. So I think offseason is more likely, but I wouldn't be shocked again if we get that alert and Giannis is like, it's time, get me out of here. But problem for him is the Knicks have no picks. Miami only has Tyler Hero and Khalil Ware to give these aren't these foundational pieces. Everybody tried to trade Jimmy Butler's contract over to Milwaukee. Like, look, even if he asks out, we don't gotta trade him. And at the end of the day, we gotta get something for him. And it can't be Jimmy Butler's contract and like something that Kuminga gets. We have to actually get stuff and have a good team on the other side of this.
Everybody, a lot of people on Twitter keep doing the joke of like, what's it called? Grok on Twitter. Grok. They were like, Grok, put Giannis in the jersey of his next team. And it keeps coming up Lakers. It keeps coming up like, no, damn it. At least it's not the Warriors, though.
Yeah, that's true. This is not the Warriors.
Hey, man, NFC West, man, it look great. I'm just, it look great.
I mean, this is a basketball segment, bro. Like, what you talking about?
I just know timing. Like, I know y'all got to pay bills and stuff. We've been on here for, I've been long-winded, wasting your time. So I just want to make sure on the way out, I was just like, man, NFC West, best division in sports. And then, but like, except, I put it like this. I didn't watch the game, so I don't have too much analysis or like too much to say. I had a dinner I was headed out to, and so I'm like, damn, we're gonna miss this game. But the other game was good, so cool. I'm gonna get out. Cool. We in the Uber. I'm trying to be polite. I'm doing my stuff. I sneak a look at my phone in the restaurant and said, "Oh, the game's over."
And that was at the end of the first quarter.
I mean, put my phone back. Oh no, it was first quarter. I put my phone back over here and act like I'm not paying attention. Let's eat the dinner. So
what AB say, man, hey man, we got cooked, man, we got cooked.
I love what I talk bad about the Niners to Niner fans, and they said, well, the Raiders said, y'all can't hurt me with the Raiders. I'm used to the Raiders being trash.
And then this dude be tweeting me, bro. He be tweeting me, bro, in the middle of the game, man. And about the fourth quarter, he started tweeting me, man. I said, man, I'm about to cancel Christmas like Tommy.
I had a great pasta dinner that night. It was cool. Kept my Saturday night lively, man. I appreciate that from you guys. Kickoff return. Lead off, kickoff. Like, geez,
That was crazy.
It was tough.
That was crazy.
That's tough.
Tough.
It's always next year, brother.
Well, yeah. I'm not worried about football right now.
Okay.
I'm watching Monster versus Peterson in a week.
Okay. You going Broncos? I know you're not picking it. You're just not even
Broncos.
watching.
I think Broncos and Rams.
Okay.
Going Patriots.
Giving it to Stafford. Are you getting into the Stafford Hall of Fame debate? Are you getting into this?
So we're gonna have a conversation. Actually, that's a good tease, Eddie. We're gonna have that conversation next. Step one, Stafford is a Hall of Famer, but this
right now, today, before
right now. But this puts him, if he does this, this puts him in a different category.
Agreed.
But Beaumont, my boy Bomani, he's a little dramatic with this one. I'm a little closer to him than you with as far as this take, because it's like,
what's the take?
He's saying he's not a Hall of Famer right now. If he does this, obviously he will be. But one All-Pro, one Super Bowl, that is tough. There is very little precedence for that for quarterbacks.
I did not know it was one All-Pro.
Man, All-Pro is tough though. Like it's just like all
that's
Matt Stafford wasn't the best quarterback in the league when he was throwing for 4,800 yards in Detroit. Like,
but I mean, that's some of the arbitrary stuff though. Like it's not his fault he played with two of the three best quarterbacks of all time. Really, you could say 3 of the 5, however you feel about Pat, however you feel about Drew Brees. It's not necessarily his fault, but he did. And he was very rarely a top 5 quarterback in this league. So they were all gone. And, you know, I think he led the league in passing once or something like that. Whereas Drew Brees did it 7 times in the same time. Like, and won when he was doing it. Winning matters. MVPs matter. But again, if he goes MVP, Super Bowl MVP, he might go first ballot. But as he stands right now, they're debating him and Eli and stuff like that. So Eli got 2 rings. They think Eli getting in. So it's, you know, I'm closer to Bomani, but I think he's in. The NFL Hall of Fame is tough. This is not the NBA Hall of Fame where like it's pretty good and we recognize your face. You actually got to be a guy, and I think
Let me ask
you wins, but
is Al Horford going to the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, because it's basketball and he won 2 national titles. Like he gets to Florida.
That's a good point.
And
he might be first ballot. So just get ready for that.
That's a good point. It is.
Would he be in the NBA Hall of Fame with a 20-year career and 1 title? Not to me, but back-to-back natties.
I think he would be, but that's the thing, though. I think
in the NBA, if there was an NBA Hall of Fame,
I think he would.
I would.
Well, so they had the bar, like I know we're running along it, but they had the barrier for the longest 20K points. Anton Jameson's the one who got it and didn't get in. But remember, C. Webb was like a debate, and C. Webb was a dude. So, you know, was Al Horford's career better than C. Webb's, even with the ring? I don't think so. But
Chris didn't get in first ballot, did he?
No, he took a minute.
Yeah, it took.
Yeah. So
the thing that I would say, going back to that Stafford thing, and you could say this about Horford in the NBA too, is there is an argument to be made if you're really trying to have a Hall of Fame, like if you're really trying to do this Hall of Fame, there is an argument to be made that like, yeah, I'm not really tripping off like you played when Brady was around. If you was one of them ones, you'd find a way to be All-Pro 3 times. You know what I'm saying? Like Drew Brees did it. Drew Brees did it.
That's basically the counter. Drew Brees is basically the counter. Drew Brees did a lot. And then the thing for Stafford too was like, yo, you had Megatron, you had what's buddy name who's on the Seahawks now? You had him, you had Puka, you had Devon. Like you had these guys, like you didn't necessarily create these guys. Whereas you look at Drew Brees and the guys he's throwing to, it's you know, quarterbacking is a little different. People are saying, well, Ben Roethlisberger. I think that's another comp for him. But Ben won rings, and Ben never won an MVP. Ben never really led the league in much, but Ben has this stature that is different than that of Matthew Stafford. And it's like, yo, if you lose for a decade, we remember that. And you lost for a decade.
Ben Roethlisberger is interesting. He's 7th all time in passing yards. If Matthew Stafford is 6th. If he plays 2 more years, he's going to be 3rd.
He could crack the top 5 for sure. And that's another thing.
Like
his career's not over.
He'll crack the top 5 next year, but if he plays 2 more years, he's going to be 3rd.
Yeah, and I know he kind of like threatened retirement last year and thought about getting out, but like if he's getting a great situation, there's no reason he doesn't play at least 2 more years. He can crack the top 5, and then it's like, you know, it's null and void at that point. Like he's clearly walking in. But the idea was if this was it, and he doesn't, you know, you go out losing the MVP race to Drake May and the NFC Championship to Sam Darnold, looks a little tricky. Now you win, we don't remember it like that in 10 years. We just say that was the year Matt Stafford did everything, and when they won the Super Bowl, he was the man. So you know how that goes.
He's a Hall of Famer today, but the All Pro thing is pretty. I didn't know.
Y'all, I think you guys are doing too much.
Well,
but I'm trying to find an easy way
to. He's in there today. Okay, he ain't got to do nothing else. He's in there today, in my opinion. But the All Pro thing made me think about it a little more.
He might have to wait a couple years, but he's probably in.
Peyton Manning was a 10-time All-Pro. Tom Brady was a 7-time All-Pro.
And Drew
Rodgers was 5.
And Drew still found a way to get more than one.
That's the name I'm forgetting too when we talking about who else is in the league at that time. Aaron Rodgers
was 5. Huh?
Drew was 5.
Drew's 5.
Damn, I thought he was 3.
Drew's 5 All-Pro teams. I'm trying to find a list of All-Pro.
How many years is how many years is this?
Well, Drew retired second all time in yards. He set the single season record for yardage. Like Drew went out swinging. Like he it was clear.
You said all those years of All Pro. It sounded like 40 years.
Well, it could be 1 and 2.
Oh, that's true too.
Yeah,
I'm thinking All Pro number 1.
Yeah, it could be.
But I think Drew played like 20 years. Like he had a long career.
Yeah. He did.
He was early. I was like, it's time, buddy.
Ben has none.
Yeah, and so that's why I say Ben is like the comp that people.
Yeah, Super Bowls though.
But Ben was a winner.
Well, that's the thing, and that was kind of the gist of the conversation. Is Matthew Stafford is potentially looking at his second.
Yeah. And then it erases it all. He wins, he erases it all. Like he was great in the first one. He didn't win MVP, but he was great.
Man, he sure was. First team All-Pro in 2006, and Peyton was second. 2006.
I don't even think about Big Ben like that. Like I don't think of him.
That was Drew. That wasn't Ben. Sorry, that was
Drew.
Drew Brees.
Okay.
Sorry, that was Drew Brees.
I do think of Drew like that.
Ben was a talent, but like not to that ilk of like we never thought he was the best quarterback or the second. But again, that's the league that exists when you have the GOAT and then you have Peyton Manning. So that's the league we're looking at every year. Only so much.
And we're having a little bit of a recreation of all that with the 4 right now.
Yeah. Well,
you put Joe. You don't put Joe in there, huh?
I don't put Joe.
Joe's. You don't. Whoa! Hold on, Jesse. You listening? Hold on. Let's go. Go ahead. Say that again.
I don't put Joe. Like there's Pat Mahomes.
Yep.
Right. Pat Mahomes.
Yep.
There's Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
And then there's this gap, and it's like the Joe Burrows and Josh Allens of the world after that. So
there was a very extensive conversation earlier about how Josh Allen has completely skated on his performance this past weekend, where he threw 4. He had 4 turnovers, the 2 fumbles, the 2 interceptions, and the NFL media is feeling bad for him.
Yo, look at CJ Stroud. He played the game right. Like I remember Lamar Jackson had a great playoff game last year, and it was like, well, if he didn't fumble twice in the first half, they wouldn't have needed that pass in the end. They didn't need Mark Andrews to catch that pass. I watched Josh Allen. I watched Dan Orlovsky say, well, this is why they lost. I know Josh Allen fumbled it, and that's bad. But look at this lineman running 10 yards against 5 guys and not recovering that fastball of a fumble he threw at the ground. I'm like, huh? Like, I tweeted it. I said, "Lo, don't let them gaslight you. There clearly is a media bias for Josh Allen. Now, is he a good player and very talented? Of course. But I'm watching it, and I can see that he's just being covered differently. A dude fails this many times in the playoffs, we tend to treat him a certain way. We tend to treat him like we do a Phillip Rivers or a Lamar Jackson. And not only are we not treating him like that, we're going the other way. I've watched some of these people call him the greatest talent to ever play the sport. He has the ability to be the best quarterback of all time. You know how these dudes became the best? We was just talking about the greatest quarterbacks of all time. For the longest, it was Joe Montana. You know why it was him? Not because he could roll to the left and throw it really far, because he kept winning every year.
Yeah.
And the same thing for Tom Brady. Tom Brady got a great arm, don't get me wrong, but he kept winning every year. And that's what you got to do as a great quarterback. And by the time they were this age, and Josh Allen is almost 30, they had won a few times. So like, you can't tell me he doesn't have weapons. He is the leading rusher in the league. Like you can't tell me, oh, well, he's had all this bad luck. They're literally changing the rules after the results of his games, after the results of his team literally lobbying to the league. I'm not stupid. Like, I'm watching it happen. Do y'all want Josh Allen to be the face of this league? Apparently, but he got to go out there and win in the important games. And then he give him this year, and I don't love this conversation, but all the great quarterbacks were out. This platform was set for him to at least go to the Super Bowl, and he didn't even get to the conference championship. At some point, we got to sit back and say, you know what, buddy? You have to win. LeBron in 2010, you got to win a finals, so we don't care no more, dude. Kobe without Shaq, you got to win a finals, so we don't care no more. Peyton Manning, one of the greatest talents of all time, you got to win, buddy, or we don't care no more. I hate to be Cam Newton, but, yo, it was all fun and games before. All the jokes and not no more, buddy. And I've been there with Josh Allen for some time. So Josh and Lamar on the clock, truth be told.
I said this is kind of related, but I mean, this guy's got his own issues as well. I've said this a number of different times to Damian, but I thought Lamar Jackson, at the very least going into the season, was clearly the best quarterback in football. Like, I thought he was the best. And everybody would say, no, it's Josh Allen. And I'd always make the argument, this goes to that Josh Allen PR that he's got. If you look at their numbers and say you switch their numbers, from last year, if you switch the numbers and gave Josh Allen Lamar's numbers and Lamar Josh Allen's numbers, nobody would say Lamar's the best quarterback in football.
A literally precedent-setting MVP vote. It's never been voted that way ever, and it was this time. And when something like that happens, you almost got to feel like it's intentional, because y'all know this has never happened too. And these are the same people voting for the same two things. And so to go in the voting booth and say, okay, boom, okay, flip the paper over. Okay, that's the other vote. Like, that's a little crazy to me. Dude, like, was it a close race and all this stuff? Yeah, that's what MVP races are. But it was clear to me who the MVP was last year. But again, it won't matter. At the end of the day, it won't matter. If that dude don't go win, and if he don't play in February sometime soon, nobody will care. And trust, if he goes and plays in February and drops one of them eggs he just dropped last week, it'll get worse. Maybe that's finally the straw that will break the camel's back when it comes to Josh Allen. But I'm with you guys. At some point, we got to hold him to that standard. You can't get mad if you call us the greatest talent of all time, and then I bring the greatest talent of all time in the room and say, okay, this is what you got to do. Like, it's the same thing. Like, I said this about LeBron. I had a tweet that like kind of went viral. He dropped 45 in Detroit. I said, yo, this is the type of stuff I need you to see you do before I call you like the best player in the world or a superstar. People were like, that's super rare. That's the point. you got to. Steve Kerr was like, yo, this was Jordan-esque. Steve Kerr played with Jordan, and he saw all the Jordan-esque stuff. That's the type of game you have to have for me to be like, all right, you're one of the dudes. Same thing for quarterbacks. We have to see you light it up in the playoffs. We've seen Kurt Warner have incredible runs. You can't give us a Kurt Warner run? You might not be that dude, and that's okay. You could be the Matt Staffords of the world, but Matt Stafford had one too. So yeah,
you're still great. You're still a Hall of Famer. Like, it's all good. You're just not what they try to say.
Hall of Famer, one MVP, no rings. He got some stuff to do on the back end of his career. But again,
you got
I'm just like at the point where like you're gaslighting me, and he got to do some stuff because you keep telling me the other guy got to do stuff. Joe Burrow's there too, by the way. Don't get it twisted. Like, it's only so many years I can watch you have two of the best receivers in the league and say, all right, it's okay if you don't win. Stuff happens. Like, you got to win at some point too, buddy.
We appreciate you, Eddie. Thank you as always, my man. Have a great weekend.
You know I'm long with it.
We're good. We're good, man. That's what we do.
Hell yeah.
That's what we do.
Have a good weekend, gang.